Sharper than a switchblade, first and last of what God made, and that's the truth. But man, keep on trying to hold me back while another chicken head come home to roost. Too strong, try to do me wrong, and the last one standing will order hand command you to dance. Oh, dance.
Run tell your preacher and your teacher, I'ma give what you love. I got to give you what you love. It's time to give you what you love.
Good afternoon and welcome to all of you. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice or watching me on social media, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and I am your host on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 1 to 4 p.m. Listen, let's talk about the red hair, okay? Because everybody's going to ask. I was blonde last week. I was blonde for the last few weeks. I was trying the blonde thing out. Quite frankly, for me, with COVID, the COVID numbers rising, I did not want to be in a hair salon every 3 weeks getting blonde tresses done, right? It was nice. It was powerful looking. I'll go back to it again in the spring. But right now, I'm keeping this red in, and I mean, it's like Kool-Aid red, like fire engine red hair, so that when my hair starts to grow in, the black of my hair mixing with the red will be a great deal. I'm not going back into the hair salon until about March or April, right? So I have my own scissors to clip my hair ends, but the color thing is just, it's a dead thing right now. I'm not doing it. And so how are all of you doing? It's been a crazy weekend. The COVID numbers continue to rise. Rudy Giuliani is now in the hospital. And we are on lockdown in here. So much so that all my exercise bands that I would work with when we first got locked down in March, I'm using those now again in the house. Bought a bicycle trainer to put my bicycle on, and I've been riding with that. I'm only on my second day with that. And I have to confess to you that it is not the same, right? I really like riding outdoors and meeting people and looking at the nature and all that other stuff. And I didn't want an app where everybody was talking to me and, come on, you can do it. Don't want to do any of that. So I found an app, a Ruby AR app that works with my trainer on my bicycle, my smart trainer on the bicycle. Nobody's talking to me. I play my own music, and I get the feel of riding outside. So I'm really super excited about all of that. How are you all doing? What have you done for the weekend? Are you ready for what's coming up? States are shutting down. The parts of California. This is the part about the virus and the numbers that are crazy outside. That states are, instead of shutting down whole portions of the state or shutting down a whole state, they're shutting down portions. So Los Angeles County shut down in March. Now another county in California is shutting down. People are still able to run to the beach and to go hiking and all the things that they want to do. Nobody loves it more than I do, but I am really afraid. And it was confirmed this morning when I read something, and I think I have to look this up, that says the numbers that were bad from the Thanksgiving spike numbers from people traveling is going to be worse for Christmas, right? And so what are we doing? How are we managing to make sure that we can do better for ourselves? If you want to call me now, 267, did I say 267? I almost gave up my own cell phone number. Help me, Holy Ghost. 215-634-8065. And then I'll be able to talk to you again at the 2:40 hour. I want to read something to you, though, because this reminds me so much of Jawan Adams. This was written by the Washington Post by John Woodrow Cox, December 7th. Rain Howard saved her brother's life, 7-year-old brother's life, and then the virus threatened to take it. The first grader was going to die if his doctors couldn't find someone willing to save him, but nearly a year had passed since the search began, and now there was only one person left to ask, his 9-year-old sister. Rain Howard knew that her brother, Messiah 7, needed something called a bone marrow transplant, the thing that we were talking about for Jawan Adams, right? But she really didn't understand what that meant. Messiah's doctor tried to explain to her as she sat in his office, her hair tied up in afro puffs and her leopard print sneakers dangling off the chair. Would it hurt, she asked, and he told her that it would, at least for a few days. She could say no. If surgery was too scary, the doctor at Children's Hospital in New Orleans told her, but Rain did not hesitate. She had watched her brother suffer for years with a debilitating genetic disease and would do anything to help him feel better. So, on that January afternoon, 2 weeks before the first American would be diagnosed with the novel coronavirus, the Howards and their doctor started discussing a date for the transplant, eventually settling on March 24th. That day would be, as their family called it, Messiah's rebirth. It was only possible because of Rain, who had doted on her little brother all his life. She played with his Marvel figurines when he asked her, pretending to be Captain America so he could be the Black Panther. She helped teach him numbers and letters and the rules of Guess Who, which she usually run unless he got frustrated, and she eased up. They made dozens of silly videos together for their pretend YouTube channel, The Rain and Messiah Show. Rain never sensed Messiah was jealous of the things she could do that his illness deprived him of, and she never resented all the attention he received because of it. Seldom did he get a gift from a hospital charity without asking if his sister could have one too. And so, no one could predict when the disease would take his life, but without a transplant, it inevitably would. And so, oh, the pictures are just adorable. Lord have mercy. By winter, after months on the nutrition bag, Messiah had begun to improve. Rain watched his emaciated lungs fill out, his cheeks plump, his toothy grin blossom. In February, the two of them dressed in purple and gold and threw beads off the Children's Hospital float during the Mardi Gras parade. In March, he got baptized in church, beaming as he broke the water's surface. 2 days later, he moved into a hospital room decorated with New Orleans Saints gear for what the Howards expected to be a month-long visit. Toka, 51, stayed with Messiah while Rain remained at home with their dad. On a bedside table, Toka placed a picture frame holding each of the kids' kindergarten folders. Me and my big sister, read the inscription. Messiah then began 6 days of chemotherapy. I'm reading this story to you because I want you all to understand that this is not just about, whether you are, trying to figure it out or not, or what you're doing. We have to literally help these people, and it's not just about wearing a mask. When you walk outside and you're not doing what you're supposed to do, you don't know who's around you that's sick. You don't know who's around you that has cancer. You just don't know who's around you that has what we would call a comorbidity, like diabetes or hypertension. So they went on about it. The Howards heard about the coronavirus by then, as the schools and stores in their communities began to close, but it still felt like a distant worry. And so everything was going on with this virus and things like that. It's just a blessing that Messiah is in a good, safe place. Messiah's getting his thing, right? And so I'm just going to, and they're showing videos of Messiah. Lord have mercy. And do you know, Lord, it's a long story. I want to make sure that I just go through it so that you get to the place where she helped him. He got the bone marrow transplant, and then it all went haywire for him because, oh wow, what the pictures here? You've got to go to the Washington Post and see this article because it's just amazing. I can't read the entire thing to you, but wow, they did a great job writing this article. It's just going on and on and on. Let's see. He got coronavirus. He got it after the stem cells, May 4th, to have a port in. The little boy got his stem cell and then almost died from the coronavirus. And so I'm not going to read the entire thing because it would take me until 1:20 to go there. But it put this family through so much. And, I ask you all the time. Wait a minute. He actually died. Oh, my God. This is too much. She saved his life, and then he dies of COVID. How do we even wrap ourselves around all of this, right? When I was reading something the other day on Facebook where a woman walked into the Giant in Roslyn without a mask, and they tried to get her to wear her mask, and the people there would not let her wear the mask. And there was a whole strand on Abington Helping Abington, and the amount of people that were on there saying that they don't have to wear the mask, they don't feel like they're sick, they don't want anybody to tell them to take away their rights, what is going on in this country? Why are we here? Why are we doing this to ourselves, right? It just doesn't make any sense. Aside from the virus impacting us, and people are dying from it, it says here, the Washington Post again, written by Heather Long, that millions of Americans are heading into the holidays unemployed and over $5,000 behind on rent. Lord have mercy. Millions of Americans who lost their jobs during the pandemic have fallen thousands of dollars behind on rent and utility bills, a warning sign that people are running out of money for their basic needs. Nearly 12 million renters will owe an average of $5,850 in back rent and utilities by January, Moody's Analytics warns. Last month, 9 million renters said they were behind on rent, according to a Census Bureau survey. The numbers were especially high for families with children, with 21% falling behind on rent and among families of color. About 29% of black families and 17% of Hispanic renters were behind, the Census Bureau reported. A separate analysis by the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia, looking at people who had jobs before the pandemic, found that 1.3 million such households are now on average $5,400 in debt on rent and utilities after those people had lost their job and their family incomes plunged. I get on here all the time. Before we got to coronavirus and all of that, all of what it entailed, somebody please tell my mama I'll call her back when I have a minute, and all of what it entailed, I kept saying to you all, as you make your money, first of all, it's up to you. You can do what you want with your money. If you want to buy a BMW and a Mercedes Benz and do all that you want to do with it, knock yourself out. In this household, we own 10-year-old cars. Like before I got this truck that I am now driving, my car is 11 years old. I was talking to my sister yesterday, and I dare somebody to try and take my car away from me. It has 240,000 miles on it and still going strong. So the money that I did not spend on buying a brand new car, I was able to save the money, able to help children go to college, able to do things that I wouldn't ordinarily want to do. When the pandemic hit, it didn't strike us as hard as everyone else because we were able to do some things and make sure we were ready to go, right? So just because you make the money doesn't mean you have to spend it. Just because you're making it, I see people, oh yes, I'm making X amount of dollars and I'm flying in a private jet and I am, swinging in Louis Vuitton shoes and I'm all these things. Like, it speaks to a way that I'm hoping that we would start to really pay attention and stop blowing our monies. African Americans, on average, has $1 trillion in spending money, right? And we blow so much of it on the craziest things. And so between the virus, between being unemployed, in Philadelphia alone, only 2% of black businesses were here, and that's been hit hard now as a direct result. So we have to really pay attention. I'm going to do some reading on Philly's eviction diversion program that shows some early signs of progress. But I have Miss Mary on the line. Good afternoon, Miss Mary, and happy Monday. How are you?
Yes, good afternoon, Andrea.
Afternoon.
Hello?
Can you hear me, Miss Mary?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay,
Yes,
good. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Yeah, I've just been hearing on the radio of people complaining about the tax abatement, and I just wanted to remind them that they can file a formal complaint with the U.S. Attorney, William McSwain, FBI investigation regarding this tax abatement. I remember I filed one last year, and I also filed one with Attorney General Josh Shapiro's office, and I'm waiting to get their response because they have to do an investigation. We know as
so Miss Mary, so hold on, Miss Mary. For those of that are listening who don't know what this tax abatement is, explain to them what this is that you're talking about.
Okay, this is where we have been paying for developers to get, I guess, jobs in the city and creating opportunities for people to purchase property. But as a taxpayer on the back end, it's making us pay more in taxes to cover for these people that are getting homes in the city, and also it's driving in a lot of people, but it's taking away revenue from our school system. Since they're saying this is the only source of income and revenue for the school system. And since this has been going on for approximately 20 years now, we had Councilman Clark on Solomon Jones' show and also on the ladies' show on Wednesday, stating that we lost a lot of money based on the tax abatement, but yet they want to borrow $400 and something million.
Yes.
You know, this is ridiculous. And I'm thinking that he could not tell us exactly how much money we lost. Not only do we need to do for them to file a right to know suit against them, because we need to know how much money we have lost, how much money was created based on this tax abatement and applied to the school system. You know, and I don't see us putting our tax dollars for a failing system, you know.
Yeah,
and
agreed.
when people don't complain, because I had told, I went on the air and I would notify people in the past, you can go online and file a formal complaint if you're not pleased with anything regarding what's going on in the city, in the state, and they have to respond to your complaint. Because when I did investigations for the state, only white people file complaints. You can go online and do it, answer the questions, and they have to respond to you. Now, with McSwain, with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, they will give you a tracking number, but they will not respond to your information. They'll investigate the situation, but they won't tell you the status of your complaint.
Yes.
Now, with John Shapiro, they have to give you a response. So I'm waiting for my response. I don't see us continually putting money into this program, and then we're not getting any information from a city council. You know, this is ridiculous. And Clark, when he came talking about borrowing money, we're the poorest big city in this country.
I know,
you
Mary.
need to look at what's going on. If anything, they're stealing from us. It's as simple as that. When you cannot get on board and tell us what's going on, the figures in place, you don't come to me and tell me I want to borrow more money that I have to pay back. You know, I think their gravy train needs to stop. You know, and
Thank you so much,
I know
Ms.
what's
Mary.
going on, and I'm going to continue to file complaints. Even if I'm the only one filing it with the feds and the U.S. attorney and Shapiro and whoever else in play, I'm going to continue, because if I see what's going on, I work too hard to be feeding city council, having them to, just steal from us. And I know what's going on because I've seen it and I've investigated it. And for us to continue to allow this and say, okay, it's nothing we can do, because I heard that on Solomon's show, Jones' show this morning. There's a lot you can do. Stop.
Yes, I agree. There is a lot you can do. I agree. I absolutely agree. And so what we're going to do is work on more people filing formal complaints, because the more people that file complaints, the more they'll get their voices heard. And because
the more people that they will prosecute.
Yep,
as
I
a
agree.
result of it.
Agree. Thank you so much, Miss Mary. You have a good one, okay?
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. Miss Mary always brings the pain. I'm trying to tell you. So listen, we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, I'll hear from Prince, and then we have two wonderful guests that I cannot wait to talk to. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
Hey, Word family. Our friends at Amoroso's Baking Company are hiring right now. Amoroso's has been baking the delicious bread in our community for over 100 years, and they want you to join their team today. The old and the young love Amoroso's, and they are hiring right now. Check it out. They offer fair pay and provide health, dental, and prescription plans after 90 days employment. Call 856-754-0355 or visit amorososbaking.com for details.
Last year, the Pennsylvania Lottery contributed over $1.2 billion to programs that benefit older Pennsylvanians. Programs like senior centers and hot meals, long-term living services and home care, property tax and rent rebates, transit rides, and much more. To learn more, visit palottery.com and check out the interactive map to see how the Pennsylvania Lottery benefits older residents in your county. Players must be 18 or older. Please play responsibly.
Have you heard
You're
about
listening
City
to The
Council's plan
Source
to build more affordable housing, repair existing homes, create jobs, and support small business? The Neighborhood Preservation Initiative will invest $400 million in Philly communities. Read about it at www.phlcouncil.com/NPI.
Internet
You're
Essentials from
listening to the-
Comcast. High-speed home internet for low-income families for just $9.95 per month. Visit internetessentials.com to learn more.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. I am not sure what Mike is doing over there. I think he has the Monday afternoon blues. But before we get on the call with our next two guests, Dr. Valerie Harrison and Dr. Catherine D'Angelo, for a book called Do Right By Me, I cannot wait to have this conversation. Let me take Prince before we get into that conversation. Prince, are you there?
Hey, Mike,
Prince.
it's me, Prince. Hello.
What's up, sir?
How are you? And
I'm good. Happy Monday. What you doing?
I just kind of wanted to give you a little. I know you got the pen in your hand, right? So,
Yes, I do. Hold on. Let mother get her. Hold on. Wait a minute. Because once you call, I need to write. Somebody wants to know the name of your book, too. Again, Prince. You know, I never got my copy back from my friend. She took it and probably is doing Prince Roulette with it over there. So I haven't seen it since then.
Don't worry. Those other ones are coming. They're just on back order because of the shipment. So you'll have a few more in the. You have a few more at the station to give out. So.
Okay. All right.
And it's called Philly Roulette.
Philly Roulette is the name of the book, guys. Philly Roulette. Okay. Go ahead,
Roulette.
Prince.
So there's 30,000 people living in public housing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So right now, we've never paid property taxes, municipal taxes, or school taxes. So those are three taxes, right? Mm-hmm. So if you put $10 to each one of those taxes, that's $30. So if you do 30,000 times $30, that's 900,000. Let's say a year, and
Yes.
you do that times 10. Well, that's like $10,800,000. $10,800,000. That's first. It's 30,000 times 3. I'm sorry, 30,000 times 30, which is 900,000 a month. And then
Wow.
you do 900,000 a month times 12 months. It's going to give you $10,800,000. So the least of us, the ones who have big screen TVs, the ones who have cars in front of the buildings and stuff like that, you haven't even asked us to pay into the system. And I think that's wrong for Miss Marys of the world and most homeowners of the world, is that everybody keeps classifying low-income people as poor, but yet we probably live better than a lot of people that go to work every day.
Right.
Because of the subsidies that are in place and that have been in place. And so in order to balance this out, you have to start looking at where the subsidies are heavy and who are controlling the operating subsidies. Because we all need to participate, because we feel better about ourselves if we participate. And the reason why I say that is because far too often when you're living in public housing and they want to revitalize the community based on people being at the table other than you, they uproot you and they relocate you, and you
That's
got to
right.
accept that.
Right.
You know, and so we play a bigger part. And another thing I want to just educate folks on: tax abatements are only for residential housing. People keep trying to tie the building trades in the tax abatement. The building trades have nothing to do with tax abatement. Tax abatement is a 10-year abatement on a residential home. Now, developers may own those homes, but the building trades don't. And so when people share this information, they're wrong. They're dead wrong. The building trades get involved when the dollar amount is a certain level. So when it's $5 million, then, and it's mostly on commercial. Because if you got somebody spending $5 million, and you should have jobs for people in this city, you should be giving back into this city. So we can't keep having people say tax abatement and building trades because those two can't go in the same sentence. And I'm only educating. I'm not arguing.
Yes,
I'm telling them
thank
that they
you.
would look for themselves, then they would have a point. So sometimes we say point of point of information. That's all we say sometimes. You know what I mean? And you can do what you want with it, but for a point of information, you can't say the tax abatement. And the only reason why certain communities are suffering is because they have empathetic council people. And what I mean by that, East Falls, one of the richest areas in the city, got 2 public housing developments there. And so when the economic bubble bust or when it fell down, they were able to revitalize those 2 housing developments, which gave more equity in a homeowner living in East Falls, living in Roxborough, living in the lower part of Germantown. You have more equity because we brought more money in the area.
Yes.
But the arrogance of a Northwest person and a Winfield person not to have any public housing is damning, because the third generation, the ones that's driving Uber, the ones that's driving Lyft, cannot afford to put oil inside of those big houses, Andrea.
That's true. You're absolutely right. How oil or gas heat? I'm telling you. No joke. A snowstorm, that $900 bill or that $1,200 bill, they cannot sustain that. And them big houses require to be heated. If they ain't out there cutting no wood like a lumberjack, they're going to have to pay for the service to come. And so I think more of our council people, opposed to having these Go Green initiative and all this crazy stuff, they need to have some sustainable opportunities and be real about it, because when we're looking at the loss of a house that's being done legally, they're taking your house because you can't afford the necessary to pay the necessary bills that go along with every household. Right, which is criminal, right? Which is absolutely criminal. And there are people that prey on folks like that know houses paid for, but they can't afford to fix it up, can't afford to pay the utilities because the houses, they are big inside, and they stay cold, right? If you don't have the money to insulate them and put the kind of funds into them to get them where they need to be, it's a lot.
Staying in one room all day long.
Yes, trying to stay warm. Absolutely, absolutely.
Right.
You are so right.
And I'm gonna end with this right here. It's the council people's responsibility to govern over their constituents and their residents. And like we know, they know. They used to, back in the day, they used to know Miss Maggie. Somebody need to check in on Miss Maggie, make sure that she okay. And so I think we're so intellectual and we're so smart that we're beyond helping each other the way we should help each other, And I'm going to hang up and I'm going to listen to you, and thanks for taking my call.
Thank you so much, Prince. Always a pleasure. As my mother would say in Jamaica, penny smart and pound foolish. He's making sense. For those of you who wanted to know, his book is called Philly Roulette. I have to move on now to talk to these next guests because I am so looking forward to this conversation. Dr. Valerie I. Harrison has spent more than 30 years as an attorney, professor, and higher education administrator. She is a graduate of the University of Virginia and a Villanova University School of Law, and earned her PhD in African American Studies from Temple University. She resides outside of her hometown of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Dr. Catherine Peach D'Angelo is a lifelong educator with more than 25 years of experience as a teacher and administrator. Katie is a graduate of St. Joseph's University and holds a doctorate in education from Temple University. She resides outside of Philadelphia with her husband Michael and their son Gabriel. This book is called How to Do Right by Black Children, dorightbyme.org. Learning how to do right by black children is non-negotiable for adults of any racial background who have black children in their lives. Not only parents, it is the work of teachers, coaches, family, friends, Sunday school teachers, crossing guards, restaurant servers, flight attendants, and all others who spend time in the life of a black child. Harrison and D'Angelo demonstrate through their stories, their research, and their friendship both the incredible power of cross-racial relationships and multiracial family, as well as the openness, humility, learning, and work required to access this. Their lives and relationships are proof that it's possible and worth it. That was a review written by Dr. Ali Michael, co-director of the Race Institute for K-12 Educators and co-editor of the Guide for White Women Who Teach Black Boys. Good afternoon, ladies. How are you?
Good afternoon. How are you?
Good. Oh, my God, I'm so excited.
And Andrea, we actually know each other. I am Joe Harrison's sister and Candace Harrison's aunt and Gabby Green's friend.
Oh, my
they were on
gosh.
your show a month or so back.
Yes.
And,
yes. So Joe just texted me and I said, shut up. That is not your sister. Isn't it a small world? It just really speaks to how we must treat people well because we never know. I met Joe and those children years and years ago, right? When they were little babies in elementary school, kindergarten. And do you see how the tides have turned? And now here I am talking to you about this phenomenal book. So both of you, which one of you want to tell me, how did you end up writing this book, co-authoring this book, Do Right By Me?
Katie, I think the motivation, because it was so
I am
personal.
more than happy. This is Katie. I am more than happy to. Well, I don't know you yet, but I will.
Yes,
like Val does. So thank you just for your joy. Your energy comes right through the line. I'm so appreciative. So I love to talk about the book because at the heart of the book is my 9-year-old son, Gabriel. My husband, Mike, and I are both white, and 9 years ago, we adopted our son, a beautiful biracial boy, and it was very clear to us that as white parents of a black child, we wanted so badly to parent well, but we have real questions and concerns about racism and culture and identity. And unlike parents who buy into a colorblind or post-racial ideology, Mike and I had to confront head-on the reality that we would need to equip our son for an experience that is far more complex than anything we had experienced, surely even growing up. And so fortunately, I was not alone. Even before we knew about Gabriel, Val and I had frequent and deep conversations.
Are you outside, Katie? I keep hearing this background noise.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm indoors.
Okay, so
Maybe
I'm not sure where that noise is coming from. Okay, I want everybody to hear you because I've got a bunch of questions for you.
Oh, good. So I absolutely, just have to say that, Val, through a 20 years of friendship, Val has been pouring into us every step of the way and just sowing wisdom, not only into me, but also into our family. And so, I'm very grateful because this entire process was so much more than even writing a book. It was a process of self-discovery and about developing relationships.
Yes.
And, Andrea,
yes.
I would add to that, that I would hear the same concerns that Katie expressed at conferences and meetings from white women who had adopted black children, and many of them had adopted daughters. And they would share their concerns and questions, Andrea, about everything from how to care for their daughter's hair to affirming their body image to how to build a diverse community where black female achievement was the norm. They had television images of Michelle Obama and Oprah Winfrey and many others, but they wanted examples of black female leadership and achievement that their daughters could know personally, that they could identify with as part of their community of support. So it was clear to Katie and me from her experience and from the experience of these women that white parents of black children wanted badly to parent well. But they have real concerns and questions about their ability to navigate racism, culture, and identity. And so when we started the project,
we initially thought the book was really for white parents of black and biracial children. But it quickly became clear that the book is for anyone who is part of a black child's community, whether a parent, a grandparent, again, aunt, uncle, teacher, coach. But then we realized that the research and scholarship that we were bringing together applied not only to black children in white families, but black children who have to navigate any white space, be it their school or their neighborhood.
Right now, you're about to make Mother lose it.
And this takes me to your show, which was beautiful. So when my niece and Gabby were on your show, as you know, where we are over the moon about them, they have been advocates in their predominantly white school district for an approach to world and American history that doesn't place black people on the margin of a European history story, right? But places them at the center of an equally rich and meaningful story of their own. And so we are watching these young people now engage in that process, and we realize that this book is for that group as well.
So I need a copy of this book in my hand. Tell me where to go buy it, right? Because
Joe will get one to you today.
Let me tell you this. I have been, Dr. Harrison and Dr. D'Angelo, I have been an implicit bias trainer for almost 20 years, right?
Wow.
I have seen some things. I have experienced some things. And one of the things that I say to folks all the time, one of the dead tail giveaway sign of people not wanting to work through the isms and the things that are happening with our, because we all carry levels of bias within us, is when they say we don't see color. Right?
Yep.
It is disheartening to a child growing up in a black family, much less a child who now is embracing living in a white family. It's like straddling two cultural fences, right? And the child is trying to. One of the best examples of that is the show This Is Us. Have you ever seen it?
Yeah, I love it.
With Randall. Yes.
They are attacking transracial adoption in a way that I don't think any other show has. I think you're right.
Yes. And so, you know, the other day, WHYY has this documentary called something about the Reconstruction. I can't remember it now, but I learned, because remember, I was born and raised in Jamaica, for those of you who aren't aware. I didn't know much about United States history. I knew everything about Caribbean history and history in England, but didn't know British history. I found out that in the 1870s, there were all these black senators and Congress people, and that they introduced public education in South Carolina, things that we would have never seen in the history books here. So what it has done for me particularly is that I'm going to go back to Gabby and group, and I'm going to help them push, right, to get the right kind of history in our books so that our children can feel a sense of accomplishment instead of being on the slave block, being traded, right, and brought in as slaves and having to reenact that over and again. There is some pride. There's some African-American pride in our history that for some reason they just don't put in. You know, McGraw and all these bookmakers that are writing history, we're going to tackle them. We have to tackle them because school districts keep saying, we don't know how to do this. It's too much to do, right? WHYY gave them a whole documentary. Play the documentary. You know? So I'm so excited. I know I sound superbly excited to talk to the both of you because when I come back from my break, I'm going to ask, you're one of you black, one of you white. How did you make this friendship work to the place where you're now co-working on a book? Because you have similarities, but you have differences. How did you work through those things? Hang on. Hold that in your head, and so you can answer me when we come back, okay? Oh, yeah, Mother is all over it today. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
Buying something from a dealer just sounds a bit, well, put it like this. My cousin Ray Ray got arrested for buying something from a dealer. So why would you want to buy your car from a dealer? Hi, everybody. This is Nick inviting you to buy your next car from Jerry over at Cardex. See, they're not dealers. They're like a car concierge service. They design a car around you. Almost any make. If it's not on the lot, they'll go out and get it for you. So use my car concierge, where I've already bought 4 cars. Cardex at 116 East Glenside Avenue in Glenside, Pennsylvania. Check them out online at cardexinc.com or call Cardex at 215-886-3230.
Livelihood, the new initiative from WURD Radio, connecting Philadelphians to jobs, entrepreneurship opportunities, small business resources, and financial literacy. Visit WURDworks.com right now and take the next step in your professional journey. Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network. Monday through Thursday, keep it locked to WURD Radio. At 6 a.m., start your day with the Power Hour, hosted by Bishop Dwayne Royster and Reverend Mark Kelly Tyler. At 7, it's Wake Up with WURD with Solomon Jones. At 10 a.m., it's Reality Check with Charles Ellison. Then at 1 p.m., it's The Source, hosted by Andrea Lawful Sanders on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and the Black Women's Leadership Council on Wednesdays. At 4 p.m., it's Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Then at 7, it's Save Space with Sincerely Sarita. At 9 p.m., round up your day with Keeping It Real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Keep your dial locked to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app. Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio. Independent Black Media. Want to buy black for the holidays? WURD Radio has got you covered. WURD is proud to present our virtual holiday marketplace online. Support local, small, black-owned businesses through the marketplace and purchase your holiday gifts today. Visit WURDradio.com/marketplace or WURDworks.com/marketplace.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you are just joining us, I have on the line with me Dr. Valerie Harrison and Dr. Catherine D'Angelo, who wrote a book called Do Right By Me. And it's a story, it's a book entailing what to do when you're working with a child of color, black child in any space, anywhere they are in the world. And so I can't wait to read the book. I've not seen the book. I've heard about the book. I was so excited to have the conversation. I then learned that Dr. D'Angelo is white and Dr. Harrison, I know Dr. Harrison is black. Because I know parts of her family. Just learning all of this while I'm on the air with her, though, by the way. So this was not planned. And Dr. Catherine Lord have mercy, adopted a 9-year-old biracial little boy by the name of Gabriel, and she needed some help, and she asked her friend, Dr. Harrison, to help her navigate those spaces. That was a brave thing to do, because sometimes when we ask for help, it is met with disdain, right? And it's met with judgment. Why are you adopting a black child? Couldn't you find anybody? You know how people get. People can be really, just bring all their trauma and stuff to the table and spew it out on everyone else. So Dr. Harrison and Dr. D'Angelo, and yes, I'm calling you doctor. I know you say Katie and Val, but you earned your degree. So let's call you what it is. Dr. Harrison and Dr. D'Angelo, tell us now what it's been like to navigate your friendship to the place where you were able to co-author this book. And did you hit snags? Like when you talked about certain things, how did you navigate the more difficult parts of this relationship?
So, Andrea, Katie and I have worked together at Temple for almost 20 years. And so what began as a professional relationship ultimately evolved into a friendship. And so over the years, we have shared stories, we have shared experiences and perspectives, and we actually have an entire chapter on developing friendships across races. Because people kept saying to us, well, particularly to me, how do I make a black friend? You know, we didn't want to minimize that question because it was real for them. And we were very clear about something that a transracial adoptee, we heard him say, is that when you're adopting, if you're a white family adopting a black child, your black child should not be your first black friend. And so we refuse to minimize the question, and there is an entire chapter on that. But what happened was sort of sharing experiences and perspectives as sort of an academic or a philosophical exercise, that shifted when Katie and Mike adopted Gabe. It became a situation where two friends just sort of were talking about perspectives to a mother trying to help a child navigate a space that she had no experience with. And so our friendship and his welfare became the priorities for us. And so then disagreements that we may have about things were never fatal to the relationship. In the book, we sort of explain how to disagree and to restore and repair that in a way that is not destructive of the relationship. You know, I'll tell you, Andrea, a story that may be familiar to you, because I believe in Jamaica there is it may be a similar system growing up. Little boys, you turn one, you know, you go to the barber shop. It's sort of a rite of passage. You get your hair cut and that kind of thing. And for Katie, she was like, nah, I'm not going to do that. And so we had gone back and forth about the haircut and that kind of thing and the care of the hair. And so we demonstrate those things. We demonstrate sort of cultural differences and how we struggled with those cultural differences. But again, if the priority is the priority and the main thing is the main thing, being the welfare of the child, being the friendship, then again, even those disagreements are not fatal to the relationship.
Oh my gosh. You know what? Can I just tell you, and I'm being completely transparent, when I get excited, I am talking a mile a minute, right? I would love to sit down with the both of you when COVID ends, when COVID abates, when COVID is manageable, because it's never going to end. When it is manageable, I would love to get to know the both of you. Can you imagine the conversation? Oh, so Katie.
The energy level alone.
Yes. So Dr. D'Angelo, how did you manage when you disagreed without it becoming fatal? I know you kept Gabriel in the middle of it, but were there times when you would listen to Dr. Harrison, you were like, listen, this is my son. I know he's a biracial child, but he is my baby. And you can't tell me how to raise my baby. And yes, he's got some black in him, but he's my baby. Did you ever feel that?
Every day.
So how did you navigate those spaces?
Yeah, and I have to tell you, too, you know, Gabe is, he's our only child. So not only the first child, but the only child. So, you know, I can't even describe to you the maternal thing that goes on with him. You know, just that feeling of you can't tell me anything about my son. So I think what we didn't entirely appreciate until we really got into the writing part. And one thing that was really important was that Susan Ragland, who is a brilliant artist, she's in Philadelphia and a UVA undergrad, alma mater with Val. They were good friends as undergrads. Susan is a marvelous artist. She's also a teacher and does so many other things. And she worked with us to create an art depiction of me. So I kind of had I have a visual image, there's a woman that Susan painted and created to represent Val. And so that image, either when it's my voice in the book or when it's Val's voice in the book, you'll see this visual image of us. And that was really, we really dug in on that. The initial feedback from the editors was that's kind of confusing, you know, who's talking when. But it became not only important just from the art. You know, Susan did such a beautiful way of capturing the white mother image in terms of voice, and then the black auntie. So Val is Aunt Val to my son. And so what was really important in the book was capturing the different perspectives. And so that as you're reading through the book, you would hear maybe the story or the experience, whether it was Val describing her images and experiences of the barber shop growing up with her brother and her dad, and knowing what that ritual and experience was. And then from my perspective, you would know that it was my voice coming into the story to share my view. And we didn't want to lose that. You know, there's times when you hear sort of a blended voice and perspective. But I think it was really important so that we remain true to that. And one of the things I think that has been illuminated through, most especially, through COVID, and with all of the challenges in recent months that we've seen in the news and the media, we have to enter into and step into these uncomfortable conversations. And as Val said, you know, for the white parents that she had encountered, yes, we all want to do well by our child, but we don't want to mess it up. You know, this is such a gift. Becoming a parent is such a gift. And we want to learn as much as we can so we don't have missteps. And certainly we don't want to have missteps where it results in a harm or a hurt to our child.
Unintentionally too. Yes, right.
Yeah. So I think what was really one of the important points of the book is you have to have uncomfortable conversations. You have to enter into it. And yes, it requires, you know, a trust-filled relationship. But the only way that we're going to move beyond this moment and into transformation is if we have these conversations and engage one another and make ourselves vulnerable to hearing things that might be hurtful or scary, but we have to learn them to do right by our child and our community.
Yes. So how can people find this book? Please let them know.
Sure. There's a variety of ways, actually. I think the quickest way is to go to our website, dorightbyme.org. And there's the link to purchasing the book. It's available on Amazon. We've actually been pushing everyone to Bookshop, and Harriet's Bookshop in particular in Philadelphia. You know, Amazon's doing just fine these days, so we'd really love for people to try to buy from Bookshop online, bookshop.com, because that makes sure that the book is being purchased from independent bookstores, and we have some real treasures in Philadelphia and locally that we would love for you to purchase the book there if that's available to you.
Okay. Is the book in Uncle Bobby's bookstore?
So I don't know, and I don't want to send anybody into the store in these, you know, in the retail environment, but bookshop.org actually is part of Harriet's and Uncle Bobby's.
Yes,
both of them use bookshop.com for all of their online purchases. So absolutely, they'll get credit, you know, for, you know, the full amount will go back to the independent bookstore if they purchase online.
So it's bookshop.org, correct?
Let me double check because it might be bookshop.com.
Okay, and then the website is dorightbyme.org. I know you're going to have Joe get a copy to me, but I'd like to buy a few copies for folks that I just think could. Every educator, anybody that works and lives with black children need a copy of this book. So I am so happy that you chose to do the interview here. Can I ask you to come back and speak a little bit more about the book once I read it? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Anytime.
I'm excited. This just made my entire day. So
it is bookshop.org. You're correct. And it's discounted right now, actually, through Harriet's and Uncle Bobby's on bookshop.org.
How much are they at Harriet's and Uncle Bobby's?
It's on sale for $18.40.
All right. We're going to buy a couple of those books today. So look for it. Bookshop.org. The book is called Do Right by Me. It is written by Dr. Valerie Harrison and Dr. Catherine D'Angelo, two friends, one white, one black, both educators who worked together for many years, and then one adopted a biracial child. So the conversation we've had is just riveted. I want to thank you both so much. Once I read the book, I will bring you back on the show so we can delve into the chapters and the topics. In the meantime, continue to lift Gabriel up in the light, and I pray this book does incredibly well on behalf of every black child in the country. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. Yes. You are listening to The Source. Can you hear my excitement? I love education, love children, love things that will help them to grow, love things that will help the adults that are around them to grow and thrive, right? And it only makes sense that we do what is right. We keep talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. What I love about this show is that we're able to find the solution. So Do Right by Me. It's another one of those books. Bookshop.org. where you can get the discounted copy for $18.40 from either Uncle Bobby's or Harriet's bookstore, or you can go to the website dorightbyme.org. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
Seniors, does your doctor regularly reach out to check on you? Can you walk into your doctor's office and see them if you need to? Do you have your doctor's cell phone number, and can you call them anytime, day or night? At Dedicated Senior Medical Center, their only specialty is caring for seniors. Dedicated makes it easy to get the primary care you deserve. Doctors spend more time with patients than the doctors you may be used to. They offer telehealth visits, help you get your medications, and even make sure you get to your appointments. If your doctor isn't treating you like family, it's time to say yes to Dedicated Senior Medical Center. Call Dedicated Senior Medical Center today to schedule a visit and find out what you're missing. Call 267-443-1900. That's 267-443-1900. Appointments are available now.
Hi, this is Jeff Brown from Brown's Family ShopRites and Fresh Grocers. Are you thinking about a part-time job to help out with the cost of the holidays? We have plenty of openings. You can apply online at shoprite.com/careers or freshgrocer.com/careers. Come join the Brown family today and help us serve the people of Philadelphia. Have a great holiday.
Have you heard about City Council's plan to build more affordable housing, repair existing homes, create jobs, and support small business? The Neighborhood Preservation Initiative will invest $400 million in Philly communities. Read about it at www.phlcouncil.com/NPI.
Lifting every voice till earth and heaven ring. This is WURD Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black Talk Media.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. I am so excited for our next guest. I just wanted to remind you, if you are just joining us, I had Dr. Valerie Harrison and Dr. Catherine D'Angelo, both educators, have been friends for over 20 years. One's white, one's black. Dr. D'Angelo, who is the white friend, adopted a little biracial boy by the name of Gabriel, who is now 9 years old, and they then decided to write a book called Do Right By Me, because Dr. D'Angelo kept asking Dr. Harrison, how do I raise this biracial child? And so I cannot wait to get my hands on the book. You can order it at bookshop.org. At a discounted price of $18.40, and it sounds like it's a great read. So I'm moving right along because the next person that's on the line is someone that I have wanted on this show for a good long time. I'm so excited. Karen A. Robinson, president of Kinnaman Holdings, senior advisor, Equity Research and Innovation Center, Yale School of Medicine. Karen Robinson is a social entrepreneur with a focus on the consequences of social economics, healthcare, and public policy. The COVID-19 pandemic forced higher education institutions out of their traditional decision-making processes in the spring of 2019. Short-term wishful thinking resulted in problematic campus reopenings. I have Karen on the air today to discuss with us what this would look like, what the reopenings would look like. And I can't wait to talk to her about the schools that opened back this morning with the elementary school children and what that's going to do for them. Good afternoon, Karen. How are you? Can you hear me, Karen? Karen? Hello, Karen? Are you there? Are we having phone trouble again, Michael? Uh-oh, Michael is texting me. Let's see. Karen, are you there? I can't hear her at all.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yes, I can.
Okay. The magical aspects of radio.
Oh, Lord, it's so funny. I have learned how to adjust and adapt quickly with live radio. I'm telling you, not an easy thing to do.
The proverbial run, dribble, and shoot.
Yes,
I'm delighted to join you. Thank you for the invitation.
Oh, you are quite welcome. For those who are not familiar with you at all, Lord have mercy. Karen, just give them a brief synopsis of, of where you started to where you are today so that we can understand how you became so knowledgeable in what we're getting ready to talk about. Who are you, other than a Jamaican sister?
Well, as my mother would say, she was profoundly disappointed that I managed to start out in the White House and work my way down. I've had the pleasure of 40 years of public policy with an emphasis on healthcare that segued into investment banking and a robust career in financing institutions, financing programs, and then segueing into doing turnarounds, creating programming. My sweet spot personally is addiction, substance use disorder programming on the residential and outpatient platforms. In Philadelphia, I've had the pleasure of working with the team that acquired the old Institute of Pennsylvania Hospital back in 1997 and provides robust services to the community on the residential treatment side. Yeah. That latter, for lack of a better term, facilitated an introduction with someone who you're seeing on the news today. President-elect Biden announced that Dr. Marcella Nunez-Smith is now the chair of the COVID-19 Equity Task Force. About a decade ago, I was introduced to Dr. Nunez-Smith, who was at Yale. She did her undergraduate work at Swarthmore, medical school at Jefferson, residency at Harvard, and Robert Wood Johnson fellow at Yale for a decade. And they, in turn, to entice her to stay, offered her a center, which umbrellaed all of her NIH grants, and of which she is a prolifically successful grant writer. She, in turn, asked me to join her and help establish the center. And for the past, since its creation 6 years ago, I've been a senior advisor to the center. And while many researchers go to the motherland, we, in turn, went to the Caribbean. So really? We have sites throughout the Caribbean in concert with the University of West Indies, University of St. Croix, all focused on internal medicine and diseases endemic to the population in terms of diabetes, hypertension, that type of thing.
I swear, the more I talk to you, the more I learn about you. Is there no end to your being an enigma? No end?
I have no idea how to answer that question.
Because you can't, right? You just can't. You're constantly shifting and changing and doing a really good stuff on behalf of the collective. Tell us now, because I want to shift gears, so you can talk about the programmatic risk of the higher educational institutions. What advice do you have for them as they try to?
Yeah, allow me to just digress for 1 second. Eric was asked, which is the center, received a request to assist in a webinar several months ago to a cohort of several hundred colleges and universities to try and figure out what the steps were to take forward in the safe reopening of campuses. Obviously, part of the problem was the lack of consistent messaging out of the federal government and a healthy indulgence in wishful thinking in terms of how quickly this virus would dissipate and allow people to, quote unquote, go back to normal. I am not a clinician. I'm not an epidemiologist, but I've been immersed in this enough to recognize early on that this virus is like whack-a-mole.
Yes.
It changes. It evolves. Where we had individuals unexpectedly in their 30s experiencing strokes, being asymptomatic of the virus, but having the virus and having strokes. Now we're seeing this in younger individuals. We're aware of a case with a young lady who had coronavirus, or has it, and has had symptomatology which affected her voice and her ability to speak clearly, which we believe is tied to a stroke. So, and she's 22. So what we've attempted to do is to identify baseline areas for higher education institutions to embrace, to successfully reopen a campus, but also have that reopening be sustainable.
Right.
Now, that runs contrary to the fact that you have schools who are sending students home for Thanksgiving.
Right.
And some schools said don't come back, other schools said do come back. There's an array of varying sophistications in terms of who's testing, how consistently are they testing, who has reopened their dorms, and de-densified, which is a new term basically meaning putting everybody in singles versus doubles. What do you do with your off-campus population? What do you do with your academics, your researchers, and, the administrative staff? So that has been a Rubik's Cube of evolution and changes, and that's in large part what we're facing now. From a parent's standpoint and a student's standpoint, the drivers are and continue to be, we want our student to have an experience, that college experience, which many of us, look back on fondly during our times through undergraduate school. The reality is, unfortunately, even with the advent of the vaccine, that there's not going to be a going back, and I don't believe there's even going to be a new normal. There's going to be a new. And adhering to the safety protocols that have been consistently articulated, wear a mask, wash your hands, wear a visor, wear a mask, wash your hands, stay out of crowds. Those types of very basic things are allowing people to navigate what will continue to be, until probably the end of 2021 into early 2022, a relatively chaotic process within that academic age group.
Right.
And I'm not one to cherry coat a circumstance, but the reality is we don't know how long the the vaccine is going to last.
Yes, that was the question, right.
Once it's injection. We don't know.
Right.
We've experienced circumstances where individuals had it, developed the antibodies, and within 60, 90 days, the antibodies were gone. And
they got the virus
infected.
again.
Right.
So just so I'm clear, let me make people understand it. So there were instances where people developed the virus, got the antibodies as a direct result of having the virus, and within 60 to 90 days, the antibodies disappeared and they were reinfected. So for the people who think that they can only get the virus once. Can you talk a little bit about that, please? Because there are folks who are just out here. I know someone who had it twice already, and one person who got it 3 times. That person died.
Well, and I'm not laughing at that. I'm embracing the mantra that the definition of madness is doing the same thing repeatedly and expecting a different outcome. We have to cut through the mythologies and deal with the fact that our population, our black and brown indigenous population, because of our densities in the context of living circumstances, because of the substantial numbers of our community who are essential workers, I crudely refer to it as opportunistic genocide.
Oh, wow.
That the lack of policy, the lack of baseline information that was consistent, the lack of protocols that were not just coming from the federal government, but that were downstream to community influencers, that messaging has hurt us. Hence, we have now, 9 months in, the reality that we either take a look at what's happening today, where somebody is dying every minute right now. Take a look at our hospitals that are at the saturation point. That's a reality. You break your leg, yes, you'll be seen in the ER, but if you have a heart attack, yes, you'll be treated, but you've got a problem with the absence of ICU beds.
Right. Lord.
And now we have the problem of our doctors and nurses, our practitioners, who are beyond exhausted.
Yes.
Not just physically, but emotionally.
Yes.
So my posture is common sense. Do what your mother told you to do. Wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands, and put on a mask. If not for you, for people around you.
Yes. And Karen, that's why I got off the trails and riding my bicycle. We would go by people. Some folks would have their mask on, but there were far too many people who kept saying, I'm safe, I'm outdoors. And even though you're passing them, I'm just not going to wear them. I don't feel like I have to wear my mask. And so for me, common sense dictated that I take that stuff inside. Like you don't want to protect yourself and protect me, I'm going to protect myself and stay indoors, right? I am also noticing more people are going into the supermarket. I'm like, did you all? And they're bunched up together. I walk in, I walk right back out. I'm like, all right, time to start ordering my food again, you know?
I have defaulted because I am of age.
Yes.
to that 7 to 8 a.m. set aside time for senior citizens.
Yes.
And, Amazon Prime is my friend.
Yep.
Which, by the way, you can get whites if you try and get on about 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right. Yep. Lord have mercy, Karen.
Those are the challenges. And I think that the death rates we're experiencing and seeing, tracked on the evening news, they're real.
Yes.
They're real. Those deniers, I want them to see a refrigeration truck filled with bodies to understand that this is real.
Yeah. You and I, before this became all of this, and I kept saying something didn't feel right, you would inbox me and say, you have no idea what's coming. You knew. you knew because you worked with policy and you saw what was happening and that we had a lack of clear verbiage from any place, right? First it was don't wear the mask, then wear the mask, then 25. What do you think is getting ready to happen because of the fact that so many states are not trying to lock folks down anymore because they're afraid of what people are going to think? What do you think about all of that? What do you think is going to be the end result of folks just doing willy-nilly wherever they feel like they should and could? And by the time Biden gets into office, will it be too late for far too many, in your estimation?
Yes, is the short answer to that question. This administration, the current administration, I believe, with Scott Atlas, who just ended his 130-day assignment, embraced herd immunity.
Yes.
Just wouldn't say it. And, there's an array of discussions that can be had as to why. But at the end of the day, they have taken this posture that let it run wild. Hence, when you see that train coming, you've got to get off the tracks. Yes. And the way to get off the tracks is put a mask on. That light at the end of the tunnel is not daylight. It's a train.
Yes. All right. I'm going to take a quick break, Karen, and then when we come back, I want you to give us, in as much detail as you can, what parents need to be ready for as it applies to sending their children back to school. And then you and I are going to have a conversation about school districts that are open today, that reopen today with elementary school children, and your thoughts around that. Can you hold on 1 second for me, please?
Yes, I'd be delighted.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. The Source Education Hour is brought to you by Internet Essentials from Comcast. High-speed home internet for low-income families for just $9.95 per month. Visit InternetEssentials.com to learn more. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDRadio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. We will be right back after these messages.
Want the latest in Word swag? Check out the shop tab on WordRadio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on WordRadio.com. Show the world that you're all about black. Talk Media. The Word Radio newsletter. Keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Sign up by visiting WordRadio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on Word Radio. Messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese. Exclusive articles and multimedia content and resources. Stay informed with the Word Radio newsletter.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDRadio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you're just joining us, I am on the line with Karen A. Robinson, president of Kinderman Holdings, and she's the senior advisor, Equity Research and Innovation Center at the Yale School of Medicine. So we're talking about what's happening with the COVID-19 pandemic, which forced the higher institutions out of their traditional decision-making processes in the spring of 2019. Karen and I are now going to talk about what this is going to look like for those of you who have children in college right now, who started as freshmen or in the middle parts, and those who are seniors. I had a conversation with a senior from Howard University from Jamaica last week, Thursday, Karen, and poor thing had to move 4 or 5 times, had no family here, just trying to figure it out, and could not take herself back to Jamaica because she was afraid to give the virus to her mother and father who had comorbidities, diabetes, hypertension, etc. So now, Karen, I want to thank you for this riveting conversation. This is why I've always wanted to get you on the air, because you're a woman of color who has been in this space for a long time, right? Shifting policy and understanding what's happening behind the scenes when everybody else is just going on and on about, conspiracy theories and what have you. And so you see now that a person per minute is dying every day here in the United States, with much more to come. What advice do you have for families about the reopening of schools, families and educators, about the reopening of first the higher institutions and then the K-12 institutions, if you can?
If I was a parent and I had a college-aged student, notwithstanding whether the higher education institution was reopening its campus or not, I would have my child take courses online. Now, let me explain the rationale.
Okay.
Testing is still erratic. It has been enlightening to see on some college campuses college-age students being responsible and engaging in responsible behavior. Unfortunately, that is not always the case. So the question is, if you have an environment that, as we saw earlier this fall, where some academic institutions opened and then were closed within a week. The initial complaint about online courses were twofold. One, many academic institutions defaulted to Zoom. Zoom is not a teaching platform, never was designed to be a teaching platform, and had difficulty scaling to, first of all, accommodate the onslaught of users, but to try and adapt their system to be an actual teaching platform has still proven to be challenging. There are some schools that, and candidly the most robust platform is a platform called the Forum, which was designed and rolled out by a group called Minerva. And Paul Quinn, for example, uses it. UCLA is using it as one of their campuses. It's gaining traction. Now, I find it interesting when a parent says to me, I want my child to be in that lecture hall experiencing that professor and that lecture hall experience. And I smile and I say, you have to appreciate that when I lecture, albeit with adults, at Yale School of Management in their healthcare MBA, I am always picking on the people in the back row because, number one, they aren't paying attention. They're looking at their phone. You can see that they aren't looking at you. A platform like the Forum, for example, assesses how the engagement level of that student in the class.
Right.
It will assess how many words you said, how much time you have participated in the class discussion. And it in itself evokes a level of compliance, and I'm not sure that's the quite adjective, but it forces engagement.
Engagement, yep,
and
that's the word.
You know it because you read it or you studied it or you don't. But it's, live in living color.
Let me ask you this, Karen. Let me ask you this. The Forum, this platform for online studies, can it be bought by school districts too? Can it be something used in school districts and not just in higher learning institutions?
Candidly, I do not know.
Yeah.
I do know that they are evolving.
Yes.
And I know they have a number of pilots out there, beta programs out there, but I really I can't answer that question. It's funny. I'm speaking to one of their board members on Wednesday, so I'll be able to ask that question and have an answer then. But
Thank
as of
you,
right
because
now, I don't know.
Thank you, because school districts are struggling mightily with the Zoom, and I think that's part of the reason why they're forcing themselves to go back into buildings with children. So if we're not, so say, have your children do classes online. What else do parents and educators need to know about all of this right now?
Well, I believe at this particular juncture, the protocols for a safe classroom, a safe in-building environment are generally known. Teachers, administrators, support staff have been trained to it, and that compounded with at least the belief at this particular point in time that contagion within that age group is low, juxtaposed to other age groups. Safe is a relative term, but masks, hand washing, sanitizing, no sharing of anything. Once they're home, a thorough wash-up. I would even suggest stripping of clothes. And there'd be school clothes, and then there'd be play clothes at home. And nothing be reused. And again, the elementary education, K through 12, is not my forte. I know enough to be a little dangerous, but the need for the social interactions, for the kids to have that is important. Compound that also, though, unfortunately, with the lack of robust internet and computer hardware. At this particular point in time, with the resources that we have, that every child doesn't have access, that every child doesn't have that kind of support is more than disturbing.
It is. It absolutely is.
Comcast Internet Essentials program, which is a program, Internet Essentials is a program that I'm very familiar with, having helped a number of cable providers in another life roll those out. This is, candidly, this is a time to shift the paradigm. The resources are there, and to do whatever needs to be done to make sure it happens. Cost, be damned. Excuse my French.
I hear you.
But
I hear you.
That decision-making hasn't taken place.
Yeah. And so we have to, so wash your hands. Do not share masks. When you get home, strip out of your clothes if you're opting to send your children to school. And same thing for the adults. When you get in your house, don't walk in your house with the clothes you had on in the school. Strip out of it. I tell people this all the time, right? Make sure even when I get out of, so from my house to my car, I wear my mask. Put the mask, hang it on my little thing. If I have to walk into a store for whatever reason, when I get out of that store, that mask is going into a trash can, right? I would change masks just to continue to try and be safe. I can't think
if I may interject for 1 second. It's also important for grandma, who may very well be the person home. Okay? Because mom and dad are working. Grandma has to be sensitized to what the best practices are also for her own safe being.
Yes, agreed.
And has to adhere to that discipline.
Wow.
Stay safe.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The technical producer, Michael, just texted me. He said, once a parent told me that their school district required them to sign a death waiver if they were sending their skills into the schools, he said, no, thank you. Everybody's trying to CYA, which is just insanity.
One of the things that we worked on starting in May, I teamed with the law firm of White & Williams, Nancy Conrad, who is the chair of their labor and education division. And we were collectively working with a number of schools who, admittedly, their outside counsel, and in some instances general counsel, wanted to have students sign a waiver, okay, just as your producer articulated. The difficulty with waivers is that they only address what's known, what's not known. And I've argued successfully that an institution, whether it be higher or public or private, has a duty of care responsibility, has a duty of care that's not that transcends pure legal liability. And part of creating a culture of duty of care also requires creating a culture that allows a duty of loyalty to evolve within the campus or the school community. And that includes parents, and that includes students, and that includes workers and, third-party vendors. So everybody's on the same page.
Right.
So what we did was advocate what amounts to be a shared acknowledgement of responsibility. That the school, the higher education institution, the school has a responsibility to provide X, Y, Z in terms of best practices in creating a safe environment. But that student and that parent also has a responsibility to adhere to prescribed norms. You gotta wear a mask. No congregating in dorm rooms.
Right.
The basic ground rules. Those things have to be clearly articulated up front in terms of a code of conduct. But that code of conduct is mutual.
Right.
It applies to the institution, and it applies to the student. Then you have to lean into technology to try and manage all of that. In some instances, there's been a less than robust monitoring of the information that's gathered for reference points. So to be able to have an algorithm which can show you where things are trending. So it helps manage the process, and it helps mitigate the risk. We also need to be really clear about what the consequences are.
Right.
We had a circumstance up here at Northeastern. They, did everything but have billboards saying you cannot have more than 2 people in a room. And what happened? Day 3, they bust 12 kids in a room watching a football game at the W Hotel, and they expelled them. Parents went nuts. They wanted the tuition back, yada, yada, yada. Whatever was worked out, but those students are gone.
Right.
And the school's posture was, you knew this, you heard it, you acknowledged it, you signed on it. You can't say you didn't know.
Got it. And I love that they held them to a standard and didn't just let them get away with it because, whatever. I loved it. Karen, thank you so much. It's always, do you realize we've been talking for almost 40 minutes? But you've given so much information. I'd like to pull back on you again as time goes on, because I believe at the beginning of the year, there's going to be a lot more weeping and wailing for those who didn't think that this was something to be. We still have people calling into this radio station or writing on the Facebook page that this virus does not exist, and we're following all kinds of foolishness. And I don't understand the cognitive dissonance of some folks, but what I can do is figure out how we save the ones who are willing to listen. And so I want to thank you.
Field trips to the morgue.
Field trip. There you go. Field trips to the morgue. Yep, where we can't even do funeral services because of the virus, right? I want to thank you so much. I'd like to have you back on.
You're
welcome. I'd like to have you back on to talk about the research that you're doing in the Caribbean that has piqued my interest, but we'll talk about that another time, okay?
Absolutely. You take care, my dear. Thank you.
Oh, you too. All right. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. So that was Karen A. Robinson, who was a social entrepreneur, president of Kinnaman Holdings, senior advisor of Equity Research and Innovation Center at the Yale School of Medicine. If you missed this interview, I'm going to ask that you replay it because she gave a plethora of great information. A person is dying every minute someone is dying of coronavirus. She said, you know, you have to pay attention. Make sure you wash your hands. Make sure you mask up. Stay out of crowds. And by crowds, you walk into the market, you see more than 10 or 15 people, turn around and go somewhere else if you can, right? Help a senior citizen if they can't get to the market by shopping for them early in the morning. She says that right now it looks like, based on the research at Yale and beyond, that 2020, end of 2021, early 2022 is when things may start to sort of kind of get back. And she said there will be no more normal. We have to come up with a new, right? This virus is completely out of control. She talked about people who had the virus asymptomatic and then 90 days later had a stroke. You know, the youngest one being 22, that recently happening. And so we want to make sure that, you know, you can get the virus and recover, but for some reason this virus continues to linger in our bodies. And if you live in a densely populated area, like in an urban environment like Philadelphia, or you have comorbidities, black and brown people, then you find yourself the ones that are she says, we're the ones that are going to, it's genocide of us, really, right? And it seems harsh and it seems crazy, but it's a conversation that we must continue to have and really take a better look at what we're doing and just really stop doing it, right? Oh, my Lord. I'm going to keep talking. I know it feels like I'm losing my voice some days and that we're not being heard, but we have to keep having this dialogue so we can save as many lives as possible. The Source Education Hour was brought to you by Internet Essentials from Comcast, high-speed home internet for low-income families for just $9.95 per month. Visit internetessentials.com to learn more. You are listening to The Source, and I am losing my voice. 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
COVID-19 impacted a lot of things this year, including regular vaccination appointments. Vaccines help protect you and everyone around you, especially during flu season. Schedule an appointment with your healthcare provider today to make sure you and your children are vaccinated. Vaccines keep us safe, and they work. Skip the flu this year. Get your vaccination today. Let's stay protected together. For more information, visit health.pa.gov. Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Keystone First VIP Choice HMO SNP Dual Eligible Special Needs Plan has a 4 out of 5 star rating and is one of the highest rated Medicare plans in the region. Keystone First VIP Choice and you are better together. If you live in Philadelphia, Bucks, Chester, Montgomery, or Delaware County, and you have both Medicare and Medicaid, choose the Medicare plan that is working to help you get better care. Enjoy extra benefits at no cost to you with Keystone First VIP Choice. You get benefits like dental, vision, and transportation to and from your medical appointments. They also cover a fitness membership to a gym of your choice. $150 toward over-the-counter pharmacy items. There's no copay for doctor's visits. They offer a large provider network, a great prescription plan, dental coverage, and even eyeglasses. Plus, you don't have to wait for open enrollment. You can change your coverage every quarter. Keystone First VIP Choice. The name you trust, the service you deserve. Call Keystone First VIP Choice today at 1-877-686-1760 or visit KeystoneFirstVIPChoice.com.
He's back.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton.
Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton.
In times like these, we have to stay connected.
At a brand new time.
Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight.
I'm excited that Keeping It Real returns to WURD.
Keeping it real.
With the Reverend Al Sharpton.
Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight.
This program is pre-recorded.
No phone calls, please.
Keep it locked to WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM. WURDradio.com.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDRadio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you're just joining us, we just got off the air with Karen A. Robinson, someone who I listen to and take very seriously. When this pandemic first became public knowledge, I was inboxing her because I knew of her work with policy at Yale and beyond. Just a really smart lady who has been just really mentoring many of us on the sidelines without even realizing it. Well thought out, knows her stuff, right, and has done a lot of work from the White House and beyond. And so when she started telling me, Andrea, this is only going to get worse, you all may have thought that I was just, it was much ado about nothing. Everything Karen said was going to happen, and then some, right? So when I pulled back last week, when I realized that the numbers were scaling higher, people were dying more, and that at the top of that list of the people dying or having caught COVID or having long-term effects were people that looked like me, and for those of you who are listening on the air. So if you have a comorbidity, if you are, diabetic or hypertensive, if you live in a dense environment, those kinds of things, she says it's like taking a trip to the morgue. And if you don't believe, please go look at the refrigerated trucks. They're seeing these things, right? And understand that a lack of policy up until this point has got us to where we are. And even with the president-elect coming into office on January 5th, there is so much dying that's going to happen because people are still saying they don't have to wear a mask. People are still showing up in supermarkets not wearing masks. We see of a little boy whose sister gave him a bone marrow transplant in Louisiana only to die at the age of 7 from COVID. That breaks my heart. I'm going to keep talking about this until we start to listen and stop playing I don't care, it's not happening, this is a much ado about nothing kind of thing until you drop dead, or someone that you really, really cares about drop dead. I really want us to get better about this. George, how are you, sir? George?
Yes?
How are you, sir?
Hello?
What's going on?
Fine. We want you to slow down a little bit. You need your voice. Don't get yourself stressed out, and don't get too. It's only more to come. It's only more to come. Your show is beginning to be what we call the voice of Philadelphia. They used to have a thing called the voice of the African American community. That's your show, the voice of the African American community. And it's straight with no chaser. And that's
it is. Always been, George. Always been. Can I tell you something, George? Let me share something with you. And I put this on my Facebook page the other day. You said to me some weeks ago, maybe about 2 or 3 months ago, that people are actually listening to this show, but they're not saying that they're listening to the show. And I'm starting to see evidence of it. I get a call on Saturday from a friend of mine who said I interviewed someone about something that she was doing. I'm not going to name it because until she decides that she wants to talk about it, we'll get it. Right after she got off the air with me, she got a $15,000 donation. $15,000, right? Folks are being heard. People are listening. They may not say anything, but I am so thrilled that we are highlighting the stories of people who no one else will touch. I'm talking to judges who are like, we heard you. We heard what you said, and you are absolutely right. Can't come on the air and tell you that you're right, but you're absolutely right. These are the things that are going on in the system, and no one wants to touch them, right? It wears me out, George. It wears me out because I wish there were more voices doing this, right, without the ego attached, looking at the plight of the families in the Department of Human Services and what's going on there, what's happening in the courtrooms, people feeling maligned and unheard on every level. And we're still the poorest big city in this diggity dang country. Every time I say it, it makes my blood pressure boil, right? And we sit around and congratulate ourselves and like we're offended because someone is actually calling us to actually do our jobs. That's the stuff that makes me nuts, right?
And one
Go
thing
ahead,
I could say is that Cody Anderson said something for all, young and new hosts to listen to. Listen to your callers. It's important because they're telling you what people want to hear, what's out in the community. And that way there, that brings revenue to the station. Without the station, you don't have an airway. Stop thinking it's about you, because it's not. Cody Anderson told them something, and I hope all of them was listening.
Yep.
Because a lot of them get full of themselves, thinking they know it. They think they have all the answers, and they don't. They don't want to hear about what's going on in the community. It's about what they want to talk about, what they want to hear. So, enough of that foolishness. But I want to thank Prince for laying out this whole thing about,
the tax abatement?
The tax abatement. Mm-hmm. He explained it better than anyone. Builders trades have nothing to do with that. Ryan Boyer and all these union people have come on here millions of times and say, why do people keep saying that the builders trades, they're doing it for that? Why do they say the 1% construction taxes? Listen, all that money go into the general fund. The liquor by the drink by the liquor, whatever you call it, the soda tax, all that go into the general fund. And in the general fund, you can use that money for anything you want. They always have a balance there with the sugar tax is still in court. Because if the judges say you have to give that money back, that money will still be there. But it's more than enough, because they always have enough to cover. But right now, the city's almost in a real rut because of the lawsuits of all that rioting that was going on. Remember now, people tore up them stores and everything. Now the city has to pay for it because the police department failed to do their job because they boss didn't let them do their job. Don't blame the cops, blame their boss, and that's the way it was explained in court. So you have to always look at,
Stop for a second, George. Stop for a second for me. When you say their boss didn't let them do their jobs, are they talking about the chief inspectors? Are they going all the way up to the top?
No, the film was shown with the commissioner standing there with other police officers at Chestnut Street when people were rioting and looting, and they didn't do anything. That's what made the insurance companies win their lawsuit.
Okay.
Period. That's why it's like the city was held liable. And remember, the city insures itself, so therefore it's at the taxpayer's expense. Why do you think a lot of these stores haven't reopened? They got rid of all their old inventory and everything. It was a win-win for them. Plus, the pandemic came. So they didn't have to open. They just closed. Hey, whenever this is open, then I'll go get me another leaf. But, you got to be real careful what you do, because at the end of the day, somebody has to pay for it. And that's the way that ended up. It's a shame, but that's the way it ended, So, like we say, people are listening to your show because you have something of interest, not that anything that I care about. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to make myself anything. I just want people not to be made of a fool by people who you pay with your tax dollars. Every time you kiss up on this radio, trust me, some elected official somewhere laughing, look at this fool. Listen to what he said. He don't even know what he's talking about. So when you sucking up and you get nothing, and like I said last week, when you go to the community meeting, you see the elderly people who raise all the hell jumping on an elected official or jumping on a committee. I'll tell you a prime example of what I'm talking about. And Curtis Jones is a friend of mine at the 6300 block of Race Street, right? The 6300 block of Race Street. Go out there at 12 o'clock at night. Their trash hasn't been picked up for 3 weeks straight. Rats bigger than cats, okay? Rats that are bigger than cats. I didn't believe it. I went out there at 12:30 at night myself and seen nothing but rats running up and down the street, in the trash, out the trash. People can't even come out. And yet they called the city, and there's no fault of Carlton Williams because he's head of the streets department. And 311, I don't know what they do. They just overwhelmed with everything. But the rat control, the health department went out there and put bait down. All you have to do is move the trash, right? I would think it'd be very simple to move the trash. That's how they disrespect their community. You know why? They don't raise hell. They kiss up to the councilman or kiss up to the state rep. Kissing up don't get you anything. Make a person do their job. That's what they get paid for. I could be their friends. Like you have some people won't talk about these elected officials because if I say anything, they won't come on my show, or they won't come to my church, or they won't come to my community group. Who cares? I tell our hosts, you got a microphone. They have to respect you. You don't have to respect them. Kissing up to them, what you think? You got them on your show, they give you a list of what you can ask them, so what's the point? You know, when you see these jokers come on people's show all the time, it's an agreement. Here, we're going to lay out, just like those the local 159, those clowns that's head of the prison guards union, they were told clearly, you're not to go on that show and answer any questions on the phone or anywhere else, or you won't be holding your position much longer. You know, so don't look for them to come on your
and that's
show.
why some folks, I just don't even ask for an interview, not to be on for radio anyway, but I will interview folks on the condition of anonymity and write the story, but never to get on the air, because the interview just falls flat, right? What are we doing here, right?
Right.
I don't want folks on just to say that I have them on.
People have to respect you because you respect the position you're in, and you don't make the station look like it's a used station, like, you know, you carpetbag and like you got to beg and suck up to the people to come on your show. Hey, either they come on your show and answer the questions, or they don't come on your show and answer the questions. You know, it ain't no such thing as give you a list of questions that they only allowed to ask. You know, and when people don't come on your show, your people know, your callers, your listeners, they know why. Of course I expose them. What they going to say to me? You'll never hear them saying, oh, George is wrong. He don't know what he's talking about. Do it. Do it. Just like those clowns that is at Local 159. And like I said last week, anybody who voted for them, they should be locked up because, I mean, they should go to a shrink or go to someone because you knew what you was voting for when you voted for it. You knew that they were in the pockets of the administration, and your union was going to be made to nothing. And so
George,
far,
there's something I'd like to do, and I can't figure out. I'm trying to pull you all together. Joey Temple died last week, right? And all of you called in. And so what I'm trying to do is a roundtable discussion with you, Miss Mary, Maurice, Prince, get all of you on Skype. Can you leave your contact information with Mike, please, via email or something, so that we can get it set up, and then Brianna will contact all of you. I believe there is some value in many of you who are calling in every day. Miss Mary knows her stuff. Gary Bryant, you know, and I want it to be larger than just having you guys calling in. Like, let's ask some questions about how long have you been operating in the community? Why do you know the things that you know? Why do people look at you and say you're just complaining? Woody, you know, all of you, Tyrone. I really believe we should start to, I think if we begin to listen more to the callers, to the people who actually live in this city, who are actually seeing all the things that are going on around them, that we would get more done. Right? Oh, well, there we go. Here they called it in.
But if you notice that you are pretty much like you have enough respect for your listening audience and your callers.
I do, because without you, we don't have a show. Without the listening audience, we don't have a show. Without the listening audience, we don't have a radio station. So our role and goal is not to offend the people that live in this city, but to hear them and give them a voice, no matter what is going on.
Well,
right?
You know, I appreciate Sarah and the Lomax family for having you, because at least information gets out, you know, and without the station, people will be really dumbfounded. Like, these people really think elected officials love them. Look in your neighborhood. When you walk out the house, look in your neighborhood and ask yourself, do they really love you or care about you?
Right.
All they care about is that six-figure job they got, a free car, free insurance. Everything is free. You know, that's the magic word, free. So, you know, the next time
why can't they have the free car, the free insurance, a good job, and then do the job and become
It don't work that way. It don't work that way. It don't work that way. It's called free and give them nothing. See, they got to keep you begging, and then when you see them, you say, look, we didn't get our trash picked up at 61st and Race. You know, they say, what? I told them to take care of that. You know what? I'm glad you brought that to my attention. And they go somewhere else and like, man, I'm glad they reminded me. I forgot all about it. Yeah, then you might now, they're going to pick up the trash at 61st and Race now because I'm talking about it, and they know what the next step is. You know, they're going to really be embarrassed because it's going to be all on social media, you know. But this here is 3 weeks, garbage, trash, everywhere. Just go there. Go there. I mean, it's a shame. Rats, I mean, big as kittens, look like little cats. You know, you'd be like, dang, man. They ain't scared of cars or anything. Now, do you think that make any sense? No. The longer you kiss up to them and the more you praise them and make like they rock stars, you know, it's a couple of them that's going to really get it. I've been giving them a fair chance to, like, look, get your district together, take care of your people, or I'm going to sit up here and talk about not only what you're not doing, but what you say you're going to do and don't do. Yeah. You know,
Thank
like
you
some
so
of them
much.
get all this money to bring back to their district, and they reroute the money. Okay, keep rerouting the money. I'm giving them a chance before I expose them to reroute it back to where it was, where the community can get their pavements and they back, you know, they driveways fixed. They don't have to do it. You will know about it first.
All right. Thank you so much, George. I got to go to break. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Please leave your contact information with Mike before you hang up. All right. Thank you. I know I have 1, 2, 3 more callers on the line, and I have my guest, Cynthia McKnight, on. Cynthia, I'm going to ask you to hold on for a second. Let me talk to these callers once I get back on, and then you and I can have a great conversation. The Source Education Hour was brought to you by Internet Essentials from Comcast. High-speed home internet for low-income families for just $9.95 per month. Visit InternetEssentials.com to learn more. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDRadio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. We will be right back after these messages.
Have you heard about City Council's plan to build more affordable housing, repair existing homes, create jobs, and support small business? The Neighborhood Preservation Initiative will invest $400 million in Philly communities. Read about it at www.phlcouncil.com/NPI.
Monday through Thursday, keep it locked to WURD Radio. At 6 a.m., start your day with the Power Hour, hosted by Bishop Dwayne Royster and Reverend Mark Kelly Tyler. At 7, it's Wake Up with WURD with Solomon Jones. At 10 a.m., it's Reality Check with Charles Ellison. Then at 1 p.m., it's The Source, hosted by Andrea Lawful Sanders on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and the Black Women's Leadership Council on Wednesdays. At 4 p.m., it's Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Then at 7, it's Save Space with Sincerely Sarita. At 9 p.m., round up your day with Keeping It Real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Keep your dial locked to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WURDRadio.com and the WURD Radio app. Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio. Independent Black Media. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Independent Black Media.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDRadio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Good afternoon and welcome back to The Source. I am just looking at the comments from the Facebook Live page. Haley says, I like George's reference to Andrea's show, Straight No Chaser. Did you hear the opening theme song of my show? I am sharper than a razor, eyes made of laser, bolder than the truth. They want me locked up in the system because I'm on a mission. Blame it on my youth. I ain't never been afraid to die. Look a man in the eye. I come to give you what you love. I chose that theme song on purpose. At the very beginning, most people just thought it was a regular theme song until you started listening to it. I'm not here to play, right? None of us know when we're taking our very last breath. And so we always have to make sure that when we open our mouths and we're given these platforms, that we use them with fidelity and that we're making an impact beyond our egos and ourselves. And so the WURD listeners mean the world to me, right? While, I never want to rush you. If I can't talk to you, I'll let you know when to call in. And if I disagree with you, I'm disagreeing with you, right? I'll say I'm disagreeing with you, and this is why. But I hear what you're saying. I go back and I do my research, and a good 95% of the times you all are right. That is why I don't push you off, right? I will not do it because you live in this community and you understand what's going on here. I think you better call Tyrone. Hi, Tyrone. Call him.
Hello, Mother.
Hi, darling. How are you?
I am good, Mother Earth. I am truly, truly good. And wow, to come behind George, you got to be a political You got to be a Charles Ellison to come behind George, because I'm not as politically astute as George, but in terms of the community, I'll go toe-to-toe with anyone. But, Mother,
what's up, darling?
Two things. One, a lot of folks didn't know, and I was very surprised, that Joey was the force behind changing the name of Columbia Avenue to Cecil B. Moore Avenue. It was Joey, you know, who pulled that coalition together and got, you know, the city and to change the name of Cecil B. Moore. I mean, Columbia Avenue
to Cecil B. Moore.
And
I learned something new again today. Lord, I love you all.
Hey, and I was very, very shocked when I called a couple of the other hosts, and they said that they didn't know that. And secondly, Mother, after hearing the young lady, the two doctors, talked about their book, right?
Yes.
One of the things that I would love to see, I would love to see our teenagers or millennials write, don't have to be a book, but write something down and talk with their children, you know, their little brothers and sisters about it. You know, we got to get our children to read more. And I think if young folks and the millennials share their story as how, you know, the riot impact them, how the killing of George Floyd impact them, how the killing of the police affect them, I think that would be a good sit-down chit-chat with their younger brothers or sisters or cousins or the children on the block, because our children, and this not to take away from parents reading to children, but I think our young people will have more impact reading to younger children, especially because nobody is going through their life right now. No, you know, all of us that came before, you know, and, you know, always that we did this and that, how they're living and what they're going through, nobody is going through that. And
let me say this to you, Tyrone, their perspective is very different oftentimes from their parents. It's so funny to talk to young people, teenagers, and then talk to their parents, and it's like west side, east side, you know. So we tend to think that we can think for our young people and feel for them, but their thought processes are often diametrically opposed to the ones that we have, and that the things that we fear aren't the things that they fear for themselves, you know? I got to go, Tyrone, honey, because I got other people.
All I'm saying is they need to write it down.
Yes, they are. They are. Well, we'll even do a show on it, Tyrone, because I've been talking to a few of them via Zoom. So we'll figure out how to do a show on it so that they can talk about their experiences. Okay?
All right, love you, Mug.
Love you too, man.
Look, I'm the president of the 22nd PDAC, and I don't mind saying I will back our commissioner, you know, because regardless of what's happening out here, she is dynamic, and she does have a lot of respect and want to work very closely with the community.
I want to thank you. I want to thank you for standing up. Listen to me, Tyrone. I want to thank you for standing in the gap for her. You know, it's easy to come on here and say blah, 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 and she's not doing her job. But if you have access to her and you're seeing what she's doing on a daily basis and you understand what she has to deal with, thank you. Thank you for standing in the gap for her. As leaders, we don't always get it right, but we try our best, right?
There you go. Love you,
all right, sir. Love you too. All right.
Take care of you.
I will. All right. Jacob, how are you, darling?
Hey, Sister Andrea, how you doing? Peace be unto you.
Child. Peace be unto you. Mother losing her voice.
Yeah, but you know what?
On,
but you strong. You gonna get it done. You know.
Yes,
you know,
sir.
He was just saying about Joey T. And Cecil B. Moore. Joey T. was also working to get the Dell East named after Georgie Woods, the man with the goods. You know.
No, I did not know that either.
Yeah, when it comes to entertainment in Philadelphia, the Uptown Theater. And that's all we had at that time. I remember at the Uptown, I saw a show with the Four Top, the Temptations, Smokey Robinson, and Gladys Knight all on one show, you know. And Georgie Woods was behind black entertainment in this area. So, yeah, but Joey was working on that, you know, to get the Dell named after Georgie Woods, and I don't know where that went. But he was in that fight, I do know that. But, you know, I just heard Brother George, he was talking about the politicians don't love you. Look, first of all, you got to love yourself, okay? And whether a politician loves me or not, if he hates me, you still got to, if you do your job, you can hate me. I don't care.
There you go. That's how I feel.
That you there to do. And, you know, I've heard on your show that people give you the mantle where Mary Mason, right? Mary Mason told us years ago, keep a scorecard on these politicians, right? And if we would do that, because I believe now, Sister Andrea, that the masses are being educated to how politics and government work. See, when they keep us ignorant, we the people, we don't know what that means. We the people, we the people, don't know that that's you. Don't know that all this money that I got people that I'm around that thought Trump gave them that $1,200. I said, how could he give you $1,200? He didn't even pay $750 in taxes. You know, but it's the government money, man. Uncle Sam don't have a job. That money comes out of working people pocket. And so the more we're educated, the better off we're going to be. And I'm thanking the Creator that I see more people being educated. Trump, one thing he did for us, he helped us get educated.
Yes, sir. And awaken the masses.
Yes.
Awaken the masses. Absolutely.
When we wake up, we're going to stay woke. But thank you, sister. And keep on doing what you do, as Reverend Joe said. Keep on doing what you do, because you got the right theme song, and you definitely do what the theme song say. You working, sister. So thank God for you, WURD, the Lomax family, and all that goes behind that. Thank you. Peace.
All right. Peace, my brother. All right, Derek from North Philly, you're the last one, and between me and Cynthia. How are you, sir?
Good afternoon, Mother Earth. Love, peace, blessing, and prosperity.
Love, peace, and prosperity to you, too. What's going on, sir?
Thank you. What's going on is that, you know, it sickens me when I turn on the radio and I hear how some of the families, some of our brothers and sisters call and complain about other hosts. And it sickens me because, especially in these times, it seems like on the airwaves, it just sounds like dysfunction and
dysfunction junction, right? I tell folks, don't name nobody. Please don't name. I don't even know who they're talking about. I was like, don't name anybody.
You know, because it sounds like dissension, and all you need is a little crack for the foundation to start to crumble. I just wanted to say that we're a family, and we don't all see eye to eye like in our natural families, but we don't want to cause dissension in our own family. So some things we need to respect the fact that the Lomax family put these people in position for our benefit. And we just have to leave it right there. Everybody don't appeal to us the same way, but I believe that everybody that's on air have good intention.
There you go. Thank you, Derek. Anything else you wanted to add? Anything else you wanted to add from Mother?
The other thing, real quick, Police Commissioner Outlaw. I think that she came here to take care of a problem that's really beyond her. Okay, that being said, I think what the people need to see from her is that we need to see the commander-in-chief out there. It's fine if you're doing things behind the scenes, but everyday people who are suffering, we don't know what's going on. We don't know where the commission is at. We need her to be more visible at least.
Okay, so hopefully there are people in her camp listening. I asked my husband the other day, every time there's some sort of crime in Philadelphia, I see this other chief inspector that shows up, a white guy. I can't remember his name, but he's always the one that shows up when there's a death or a murder or whatever else is going on.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I said to my husband, I said, I would love to see her every once in a while. You know?
We need to see that. When you're in battle, this is a battle, Mama. And when you're in battle, the commander-in-chief needs to be out front.
Yes. I agree.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Derek. Have a good one. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Mama.
Bye-bye. Oh, Cynthia, put Cynthia on the line for me, please. Cynthia, you there?
I'm here. I love you.
I want to thank you for being patient, my sister.
No problem. No problem at all. No problem at all.
You know, I really, when the WURD listeners call in, I try to give them a space, you know, to get their words out. And I knew I had a little bit of time for you and I to talk, so I didn't have to rush you. So I want to thank you, first of all, for honoring them and for honoring the airwaves here and just being patient with us. I appreciate it. I'm going to give you all the time you want in all the land. All right? All right. So let's talk about this. Eyes on the Prize, Eyes on You Production Incorporated, local 501c3, will be releasing a production entitled The Garden, the story of Adam and Eve from a different perspective. This free production will be a family-oriented movie that will empower families to understand how much God loves them, and during these uncertain times, there is faith in God that is watching over us. Lord, I can't wait. Two of my greatest desires are to see people come to the knowledge of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and to submit their lives to his teachings, and for people to have their lives transformed through the arts, says President and CEO Cynthia McKnight. For the past 20 years, Cynthia has been the CEO of Eyes on You Productions and Consulting. Over the years, Eyes on You has brought many stories to life, including The Forgotten Gift, A Beautiful Disaster, and many more. Eyes on You Production and Consulting uses the art as a platform to promote positive and inspiring messages. My sister, thank you so much and welcome to The Source.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited to be here with you on today.
You should be. I have the energy of like 10 people.
Yes.
So tell me about this production. How did it come about? You know, who's involved? Are there local actors and actresses? Let Marva know all the stuff.
Yes. Okay. So I'm an author, and I recently released a book. It's titled The Second Voice. Mm-hmm. It is really dealing with how to turn down the voice of the enemy so that you can hear the voice of God clearly. Mm-hmm. And when I wrote the book, in the beginning of the book, I put a letter from Adam and Eve. So if Adam and Eve could talk to us today from their lessons learned, what would they say to us? So that's how the movie was birthed. The movie was birthed out of my book, and I wanted to allow it to be released on Christmas Day for a conversation with families. I wanted them to watch the movie from various perspectives, God, the enemy, Adam and Eve, but also to open people up on how much God loves them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. And so, where did you shoot it? What, give me all.
We shot it in Philadelphia. We shot it in Philadelphia. It was 124 acres of garden space. And when we did our pre-production, when I went to look at the site, and I often share this story, when I got into the actual location that we said yes to shooting it in, I felt like I was in the garden myself. And the oxygen inside of the garden is incredible. For those who have never experienced going in a garden, literally, and just standing there, it is I did not want to leave. So I couldn't imagine how Adam and Eve really felt being exited from that place, because the presence is powerful. And so we shot it there, and we have Whitney Allen, who plays Eve, and we have Quincy Raymond, who plays Adam, and they are local, and it is a phenomenal film. During the pandemic, it was challenging for us, and we had to really do some things differently, rehearse on Zoom, but we were able to get it done, and I'm excited about it being released.
So, wow. So much is going on in the country right now.
Yeah.
Right? You're releasing this. What are you hoping for people to gain from this movie?
A conversation. I'm really hoping that once they finish watching this movie, they will have a conversation with their family. I'm looking for unity. I'm looking for a conversation. I want them to realize, even in these uncertain times, you got a God that you can depend on.
Yes.
And you need to know that he's there. In whatever vehicle, you just need to know how valuable it is for family, unity, and oneness, and his presence.
So now I want to talk a little bit about you. How did you, this has been 20 years, how did you get involved in all of this?
I actually started in high school. So I came out of Chester, Pennsylvania. I went to Chester High School, and my minor was theater. So I started doing acting on stage. So I was in all of the plays, and I just took an interest. I've always had an interest for creating. I just have a creative mind, and every day I'm creating or writing or doing something. And that's how I got started. So from there, I started building my production company. So I opened up a production company. I started doing plays. I did many stage plays all over Philadelphia. Then I went from there to doing a documentary on seniors because I felt as though that they were being forgotten. So I did that through Philafilm. I then became a part of their board. From there, I started doing other short films, and here we are right now with me releasing another film.
Yeah. And you've been able to, so how did you sustain for 20 years? You know, businesses are coming and going. How did you end up sustaining all of this, Cynthia?
You keep going. You never give up. Regardless to the twists and turns in life, when you're called to do something, you just keep doing it. It's not predicated on what most people allow things to stop them in. I just trust what was given to me. So every day I just do it. I make a difference every single day. If I can help one person, I've been successful.
Agreed. So tell us where this is streaming. How can people see it? What do they need to know now to see this thing? And you said it's free?
Yes, it's free. It's going to be on Amazon Prime, so everyone who has Amazon Prime will be able to see it free on Amazon Prime. It also will be seen on YouTube and all of my social media platforms where people can connect with me. That is on my Becoming a Better You with Cynthia, as well as my Eyes on You production platform. So they will be able to see it free on Christmas Day as well.
Free on Christmas Day. Okay. And are you working with people who want to become actors and actresses, or do you have a pool that you work from now?
Right now, we are doing year-round auditions. If they go to my website, it's eoyproductions.com. I have a lot of upcoming things for 2021. So what they need to do, if they're interested, is just submit their videos of doing a monologue, and I'm creating a library of what I need. I'm doing a couple of television shows for 2021. So there's a lot that's on my plate that's coming soon, and I'm excited to be in Philadelphia to make a difference in our community. Being Black and being a director and a writer and an author, I just think it's time for us to take our rightful places.
Agreed. I so agree. Here's one question that I have for you. Sure. What do you do when you want to give up? Let me tell you why I asked you that question. People who make it, who succeed and are able to say that they've been in business for over 20 years, have had to go through some stuff, right? It just doesn't happen overnight. What were you doing when things just seemed untenable? What kept you holding on?
And that's a great question. And I think the best way for me to answer that, I had to tell my mind what to do and not allow my mind to tell me what to do based on what was in front of me. And I had to change my strategy. And so I got a good team around me. I got good core people around me. I got people who push me. I got people who speak into me that say, listen, you got to come on. You cannot stop. There have been moments, for sure, but you have to learn how to not allow what you're experiencing to stop you from what you're called to. And so I just got a good support system. I have a good support system.
Cynthia, thank you. Oftentimes when we get people on the air and we interview them, it seems like they've just landed in being successful and landed in being around for 20 years. I love that you were honest in saying that you have a good core around you and you don't allow what you can't see to stop you from going where you need to go, right? It really makes all the difference in the world. All right, tell people again how they can find the movie, The Garden, and where they can see it.
Absolutely. It's going to be on Amazon Prime on Christmas Day, 12/25. Please share it with your family and your friends. If you want to connect with me, you can connect with me on Facebook under Becoming a Better You, Eyes on You. And also I have a live show on Thursdays called Let's Talk with Cynthia. If you want to connect with me on my website, it is eoyproductions.com.
eoyproductions.com. Let's talk with Cynthia. Are we Facebook friends, Cynthia? I think so.
We're about to be because it's my first time. Listen, I'm excited. I was listening. I said, listen, I am connecting with you. I promise you are incredible.
Marva just has a whole lot of energy and come from a place of, you know, I was raised, Cynthia, to treat everybody with respect, whether I agree with them or not. That has served me because what my mother has always said is this: no matter how much education you have, when you treat people with respect and you have good manners with them, you will go places because you've developed authentic relationships. That is one of the best pieces of advice I have ever gotten in my life. There are no little T's and big I's in my life. Everybody is treated well, no matter what's happening, and I use that energy to propel me into doing the things that I am doing, right? And so when we want to tear people apart and disagree, I always tell folks we can disagree and not rip people to shreds about it, right? We can really make a difference. And everybody has value. Hear me. Everybody has value, not just the ones that you agree with or disagree with, right? So if we can be responsible in moving forward as we have these dialogues, then our work would not be in vain. I want to thank you, my sister, and I look forward to being your Facebook friend request. All right.
Yes, absolutely, and thank you for inviting me on your show.
Oh,
I appreciate you. Have a great day. All right.
You can give Nikki a whole hug because she's the one that reached out to me about
it. That's my baby. I sure will. All right. Talk to you soon.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Bye-bye. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
There's a pressing need to strengthen pathways to better jobs in communities of color. That's why Bank of America is investing $1 billion to advance racial equality and economic opportunity.
I'm Jim Dever, Greater Philadelphia Market President for Bank of America. We've partnered with Coded by Kids to connect people to new skills and employment opportunities. It's just one way we're taking action in Greater Philadelphia right now.
Bank of America N.A., member FDIC, equal credit opportunity lender.
What's up, Philly? It's Solomon Jones. The school year is underway, but never before has that experience come in so many shapes and sizes. Is the education of your child being left to a smattering of clumsy, in-person, and virtual instruction? The COVID-19 crisis has created a market for untested virtual teaching models lacking true credibility. Maybe it's time to reconsider and check out Commonwealth Charter Academy. Here are the benefits to your family. 1. An online education provided at no cost to you, complete with laptop, headset, and help with internet access. 2. Partnership with the market leader in cyber education with a nearly 20-year track record of world-class learning. 3. Delivery of a safe, reliable, and comfortable education experience over the internet directly to the confines of your living room. Visit ccaeducate.me today and discover the gold standard of cyber education. That's ccaeducate.me.
As a business owner, hiring and developing people from the community that your company serves is one of the best ways to show commitment to that community. Let WURD Radio help with Livelihood, our new initiative that connects Philadelphians with companies like yours. We'll feature your business, open employment opportunities, and resources to connect your company with talent and ensure that you reach your target demographic. To learn more about how Livelihood can help you build your team, visit wordworks.com. That's WURD works.com. Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network.
This is not a fad for us.
We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are
undeniably,
indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media.
WURD.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. Listen, I'm going to do some news. This is my last half an hour. I don't have any other guests on right now. There's a livelihood segment that I'm going to be starting on Mondays at 3:30 ongoing. That would include diversity and equity and inclusion on-air interviews. So if you're someone who is a diversity, equity, and inclusion trainer and best practices for corporations and the workforce, please call me. I do that regularly. I don't want to be the voice that you hear every Monday talking about this work. So if you're someone who does this work and you want to be interviewed, please email Brianna or call the radio station so that we can set the interviews up for you. Brianna's email is bbrown@wordradio.com. That's Brown, BROWN, @WURDradio.com. Livelihood is a new initiative of WURD Radio, Pennsylvania's only Black-owned talk radio station. This initiative is designed to address one of the most pressing issues facing the city, high unemployment rates in the African American community. Leveraging the trust and uniqueness of the WURD brand, we will use our various platforms, on air, digital, events, and social media to connect Philadelphians to job, career readiness, information, and entrepreneurial resources. According to Philadelphia Works, across all races and ethnic groups over the age of 25, African Americans have the highest unemployment rate, both in Philadelphia at 17.7% and in Pennsylvania at 15.4%. WURD's Livelihood Initiative will also serve as a way for corporations and nonprofits who still struggle to diversify their workforce to recruit talented job seekers. In the city of Philadelphia, young Black entrepreneurs often take leaps into entrepreneurship and struggle to achieve their dreams while battling a culture of poverty. In Trial by Fire, the short documentary produced on WURD Radio in partnership with the Poverty News Network and MSN, two entrepreneurs share their stories. Looking towards a solution, WURD's Livelihood Initiative aims to provide resources, career readiness training, and entrepreneurship resources for young entrepreneurs and job seekers. Sign up to WURD newsletters to stay up to date on job opportunities and news. Be sure to select the livelihood option at wordradio.com/livelihood. And so, I am open to anyone who wants to call in to talk about best practices for corporations and the workforce. I am now in the process of having dialogue with a whole organization that I'm going to start doing diversity and inclusion training for them in January. So I'll drop a few things as I go along, but it'll be nice to hear other voices. I have been at this for a long time, and my perspective is just that one, right? I am talking from lived experiences, that of an immigrant, someone who has done this work, someone who has experienced this as a Black woman living in my skin with Black sons, and really seeing what's going on, even from a school board perspective, the way I was treated and what I saw while sitting on the school board, where other people may have thought that, oh, this is just par for the course. People can be, the implicit bias and the explicit biases are really telling and eye-opening. So I'll share some more of those things as I go along, as we continue to do the Livelihood Initiative starting on Monday at 3:30. I also want to say this. If you have been paying any attention, I've been very intentional about having folks on that will get people to talk about how to start a business and start it properly without spending a ton of money. We find great ways for you to, start saving before you quit that job, or, even if you don't have a job and you start selling things like candles, putting a certain amount of that money aside so you can start to, buy business insurance, make sure that you have an LLC. If you want to file for a 501c3, those are the things you can do. Or if you want to trademark your work. So the two things that I trademarked, A Lawful Truth is trademarked. Can nobody take it away from me. And a Divine Mother Diva. So you hear people referring to me as Mother Diva. There's all sorts of things coming out of those two monikers, and I made sure that I trademarked them so that when I am doing what I need to do, no one's coming behind me going, well, you can't use it because X, Y, and Z. I'm losing my voice today because I spent hours yesterday working on a project that I know will come to some great fruition over time. But that's the other thing that we're talking about. If you as people of color, as Black and brown people, we're the ones that are always trying to figure out what the next move is. But we're also the most creative people on earth. And I do mean that. If you just look around you, people are creating outfits, people are creating headpieces, people are creating, and lots of the new inventions that are coming out that have been taken over by other folks were first created by black people. We've created, designed the models of cars. We've designed engines. We've designed just all sorts of great things. And so, you know, as we continue to look through this livelihood segment, I really want you to think about and send people my way too who have started from nothing and found their way to where they are today. It just requires a whole lot of stick-to-itiveness, I call it, and to really have people around you that will mentor you. I have several mentors, you know, in the media world. They were my friends before they were mentors, right? So Cherry Gregg, Lorraine Ballard Morrill, you know, Denise James, Luann Kahn. They're the ones that kept pushing me before I even touched a microphone. They would always push me and say, you need to go do this. We hear your voice. We know what you're doing. We believe that you have that special thing that you can't teach in school. And when they first told me, I looked at all of them and laughed at them. Denise James was the one that said, you write quite well. You are engaging people in a way while you're in your social media pages. Continue to write. I walked into her writing workshop, and she's like, what you doing in here? Because you can write, right? And so all those things make a difference. And not long after she said that was when Catherine Hicks asked to meet me in Uncle Bobby's, and she's like, I wake up in the morning and I'm reading your stuff. You write well, you engage your audience, you pull them in, and you tell a great story, right? So use your skills and your talents to get you to where you need to be. You don't always have to just sit around and do one or two things. You know, you can have several streams of income because people are not always going to treat you well, and they will not always pay you on time. So you want to make sure you have several streams of income and that you have a good savings wherever you can as you start to grow your business, right? Biggest piece of advice I can give you for someone who's starting to grow your business: put the majority of the money back into your business. Don't just make the money and say, oh, I'm making X amount of dollars and I'm going to just run and buy a pair of shoes or get a brand new car and you don't have anything to show for it. A good percentage of the money that you make from your business for the first few years should really go back into your business. An example that I can give you is, you know, March happened, COVID-19 happened, and everything shut down around here. And I laughed and said to my husband this morning, I was able to do all the things that I needed to do yesterday because I invested in all kinds of equipment. I just went online and started going, all right, if I'm going to be stuck in here, what equipment do I need to do to make sure that my voice comes across seamlessly? And this morning, one piece that was sitting in here since March, I pulled it out this morning, pulled it all together, and I was like, yes, and these were Condon streets. So look at what your business is going to need. Start writing out your list. What is your budget supposed to be, you know? And even if you're only making $25, save one. If you consistently save one, you'll be able to move and get some things done. All right, that's my piece for today. You know, hopefully that helped somebody, anybody. I just noticed that I had breaking news. Also, breakdancing became an Olympic sport, and some hope the move won't dilute its soul. Richard Crazy Legs Colon started breaking as a kid in the Bronx in 1977 at the dawn of hip-hop before the musical genre even had its name. Breaking was a style of dance, sure, but also an art form, a cultural cornerstone, a part of life. It is now become an Olympic sport. Can you imagine? Again, black and brown people. Nobody could break dance before us, Lord. And then one more from Business Insider. Donald Trump is reportedly planning a made-for-TV exit on Air Force One from the White House to a rally on Inauguration Day, hoping to pull viewers from Biden. Lord help us, Jesus. It's always something. Always something. So you can call in 215-634-8065 if you'd like to talk to me. Oh, Ann. Well, there you go. Hi, Ann. How are you?
All right, I just want to call something to your attention about the, been on the news that, what is it, Penn University, they're giving the Philadelphia school system all this money. Mm-hmm. And I said, no matter how much money we receive, they have poor management. But I remember down through the years where people had embezzled the money, taken the money, and they have embezzled so much before they realized that all this money is gone. And I said
So just so I'm clear, I just want to make sure that I'm clear, Ann. Are you saying that University of Pennsylvania gave the school district a large sum of money recently?
Yes.
Okay, that's what you're saying. And you're also saying, just so I want to make sure that I'm clearly hearing you, that it should not be given to them because they embezzled the money in the school district? Okay.
Oh, no. Well, I'm not saying that.
Okay, see, that's why I'm asking for clarity. See, I want to make sure I heard you properly. So tell me what you're saying.
I say give us the money. And then the other university and organization that had the money to give us, but have someone like maybe every 6 months to audit, the books and things like that, so the money won't get away from us like money has been gotten away from the Board of Education down through the years. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, gotcha.
And now they have where the school officials and teachers and all this. Now they have to clock in. But I told before they didn't have to clock in. So now they're trying to get the clocks and things together where they can clock in and clock out so they keep up with them. And that'll make a big difference too. A lot of them getting paid, and late coming in, and things like that. Yes. And Hyde had said once they finish giving, the top nurses and doctors and all that, the COVID-19 vaccine.
And the teachers are next, right?
Yeah, he would like to see the teachers being next. I think he can like all he wants to, but a lot of, not want to take it. So I'm looking for school to open up at, what's this, 2020? The end of 2020. So I'm looking for it to open up at the end of 2021. So the parents now will make themselves contented and learn the things that sit right there with their children and be able to help their children with their homework and different things like that. Because, it's just something that we're going to have to wait it out.
You know what, Ann? It's so funny. I was having some conversations with some educators, spend lots of years working with them, so I have a great cachet of them that I talk to all the time. And one of them said, listen to me, Marva, these parents don't want to spend time with their children. They would tell us that we were wrong when we would try to tell them that their children were a handful, and now they're seeing just how much of a handful it is, right? And they want to send their children back to school. Several school districts reopened this morning their elementary level. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so teachers are very concerned. It is insane, but we always say in Jamaica, hard ears make for soft behind, right? and while some people may be okay.
The police commissioner, she just have a tough job. Just look like the minute she took the position, look like, as they say, all hell broke loose. And it hasn't stopped yet. Danielle,
Yes,
and,
outlaw, yes.
Outlaw, and I was her as soon as my time was up. I wouldn't even try to get a second term here so that I run so fast. If I had a car, I'd run on and leave it. Thank you.
You're welcome, Miss Ann. Have a good one, all right? All right, bye-bye. Oh, my gosh, this is too much. Let me do some local news for you. Philadelphia Inquirer. Philadelphia's eviction diversion program shows some early signs of success by Mikhail Bond, posted December 4th. Diane Buchanan wasn't sure what to think about when she got an automated text message and email asking her to participate in mediation with her landlord. Let me just make sure Michael didn't just text me. Hold on one second, y'all, because I'm getting all sorts of breaking news. Let's see, breaking news. MSNBC Stephanie Rule contracts coronavirus, delivers powerful plea to take the virus seriously. She admitted Monday that she and her family had contracted COVID-19. After testing positive for the virus, I have spent the better part of the last 2 weeks in bed isolating and taking all precautions needed to protect myself, my family, and my community, Rule told viewers of her Monday program. My husband and my kids, they have it too. We still don't know how we got it, but we're getting better, and we are very, very lucky. I am grateful to be back and on the mend and broadcasting safely from home, where I'm still isolating until I know for sure that I am no longer contagious and positive. So that was from Stephanie Rule, an anchor at MSNBC. So let me go back to this local news. I'm going to stick with local news right now about the Phillies eviction diversion program. Shows some early signs of success. Diane Buchanan wasn't sure what to think when she got an automated text message and email asking her to participate in mediation with her landlord. On her end, she was struggling to pay rent because of the pandemic. On her landlord's end, the home's refrigerator needed repairs. She decided to take a chance on Philadelphia's new eviction diversion program. A mediator helped work out what Buchanan called a fair agreement. She would make her best effort to pay the full rent, and the landlord would get her a working refrigerator. She said she felt heard during the conference call, unlike in court where the scale, always seemed to lean more towards the owner than the tenant. People don't know that there might be something that they can work out. I didn't, Buchanan, 61, said during a city council hearing last week. The program gives the landlords their money, and it allows the tenant to show good faith. The city's eviction diversion program, which launched in September as a result of a city council bill, requires landlords to go to mediation with tenants in most cases before filing for evictions in court. The goal is to reach an agreement that benefits both the tenants who are suffering financially because of the pandemic and facing the loss of their homes, and the landlords who are losing income and potentially facing foreclosure. The program will likely face its toughest test once evictions for non-payment of rent resume. City and federal bans on most evictions expire at the end of the month, so does the requirement that the landlords use the diversion program. Housing advocates are seeking to extend the program, developed in collaboration with landlords, while city officials determine its future, possibly in the court system. City Council is expected to vote on Thursday on the extension through March 31st. I often wonder if there was some of the funding, that the money from the, let's say, as an example, I'm not saying that this is what could be done, but like the soda tax, wherever we have monies placed into different places where we could use some of that diversion money to help landlords so that they don't lose their properties and to help tenants staying in home. We are in unprecedented situations here, so it's difficult to on both ends. You feel for the landlords, but you also feel for the tenants because people need somewhere to live. Again, KYW News Radio. I'm doing local news now. Oh, Lord. How do I shut this down? All right, I'm shutting this down. See? Woo! Lord. And this is why I print out everything. I'm trying not to kill trees. A $4.5 million project to dredge the Schuylkill River has come to a halt after months of work and almost no progress. The Schuylkill Navy, which runs many of the regattas on the river, has sounded the alarm for years about silt buildup in the river. The group has feared the course would become too shallow for racing. The Army Corps of Engineers has dredged the river for decades but no longer has the budget for it. A year and a half ago, Philadelphia area universities and the city chipped in to fund the dredge, and the Corps agreed to oversee the work. The contract went from the firm ASI, which, pandemic and all, was able to start in June. Docks were removed in Phase 1 on Boathouse Road, which was supposed to take 3 months. The entire project was set for completion this month. But a few weeks ago, ASI stopped working, only having done about 5% of the job, according to the Army Corps spokesman Steve Rochette. He said ASI balked at the amount of debris on the river bottom, including tree limbs and illegally dumped construction waste, though the contract specifies the firm would have to work around it. He said the Corps is studying next steps, but in the meantime, for environmental reasons, no work can resume until June. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. We will be right back after these messages.
Have you heard about City Council's plan to build more affordable housing, repair existing homes, create jobs, and support small business? The Neighborhood Preservation Initiative will invest $400 million in Philly communities. Read about it at www.phlcouncil.com/NPI.
With Internet Essentials from Comcast for only $9.95 a month, you get more. High-speed home internet service included. Peace of mind with X-Fi Advanced Security included. Access to millions of X-Fi Wi-Fi hotspots, that's included too. Internet Essentials from Comcast brings you affordable, high-speed internet to your home for only $9.95 a month. When you're connected, you're ready for anything. Visit InternetEssentials.com for more information. Taxes extra. Restrictions apply.
WURD Radio presents the following wellness tip to support our listeners with mindfulness and motivation as we continue to navigate the pandemic together.
Hi, this is Halana, your resident health and wellness coach with tips to help you stay well. We breathe every day and have been doing so since before we were born. But wait, let's think about this for a moment. Something as simple as breathing can enhance our health and well-being. When we breathe mindfully, we slow down, take deep breaths, and activate our parasympathetic system to relax our bodies. Mindful breathing goes like this. Number 1, find a comfortable place to sit still for a few minutes. Number 2, close your eyes and relax your hands on your thighs. Number 3, take a deep breath in and count to 3. Then exhale your breath and count to 3. Do this 5 times. We sometimes think mindful breathing has to be an intense experience, yet even just a few minutes a day can make a big difference. Go ahead and try it today. Stay well with WURD. Happy living.
Stay well with WURD. Connect with us at wordradio.com.
Want to buy black for the holidays?
WURD Radio has got you covered. WURD is proud to present our virtual holiday marketplace online. Support local, small, black-owned businesses through the marketplace and purchase your holiday gifts today. Visit wordradio.com/marketplace or wordworks.com/marketplace.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on wordradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you're just joining us, I'm covering local and a little bit of national and entertainment news to end this broadcast. And so, Philadelphia Inquirer, written by Bethany A.O., 14-year-old boy killed in Olney. A 14-year-old boy was fatally shot Thursday evening in Olney, police said. The teenager was shot once in the chest and once in the back on the 5900 block of Masher Street at 5:12 in the afternoon. He was transported to Einstein Medical Center and pronounced dead at 5:25 p.m. On Friday, police identified the victim as Tamir Timms and said he lived in a different part of the city. They said they were not sure if he was the intended victim. Police Chief Inspector Scott Small told CBS 3, "We are not sure if he was the intended target or if he was struck by stray gunfire. Because of the intersection of Masher and Nedro, we found 10 spent shell casings from a large caliber semi-automatic weapon. Police reported no arrests and no other details were immediately available." I don't know how many deaths are we up to now in the city between the shooting, the murders, and COVID-19. Significant concern, again, from the Philadelphia Inquirer, as some PA counties run out of ICU beds. Height says teachers should be among the first to get COVID-19 vaccine. Testing coming to the Philadelphia airport. And so all of that is happening, right? We don't know, Lord. I go back and listen to the show with Karen Robinson, because she made a great sense when she talked about what we need to do. Philadelphia KYW News Radio, as the U.S. hits record highs in daily coronavirus cases, hospitalizations, and deaths, President-elect Joe Biden says he'll be asking all Americans to wear a mask for his 100 days in office. Biden, who has been setting a different tone from President Donald Trump on mask wearing, made the remarks during a joint interview with Vice President-elect Kamala Harris on CNN last Thursday. "I'm going to ask the public for 100 days to mask, just 100 days to mask, not forever. 100 days, he told CNN's Jake Tapper, and I think we'll see a significant reduction that occurs with vaccinations and masking to drive down the numbers considerably. There are at least a dozen states that have no mask requirements. There may be recommendations, but no widespread mandate, which is why I think we're having such a hard time trying to get this thing together, right? So, In a race to cement legacy, Donald Trump pushes dozens of midnight regulations. ABC News, written by Devin Dwyer. As President Donald Trump keeps a lower profile during his final weeks in office, behind the scenes, the administration is racing to solidify his legacy, fulfill campaign promises, and overhaul federal regulations that could take President-elect Joe Biden years to undo. This is why I keep telling you all, pay attention. I think there will be a lot of things happening between now and the 20th of January. A lot of things, Trump asserted in an Oval Office appearance on Thanksgiving. From immigration to environmental protections, the Trump administration is quietly pushing to finalize more than 3 dozen rule changes that could have significant impact for years. We call them midnight regulations, he said. It's the last chance to put those rules on the books before the Trump administration changes to Biden administration, said ProPublica investigative reporter Isaac Arnsdorf, who has created an online database tracking the pending regulations for the nonprofit news sites. They can be reversed, but not easily. They include religious exemptions for federal contractors and under employment discrimination laws, looser water efficiency standards for shower heads and washing machines, and stricter eligibility for food stamps, even as millions out of work in the pandemic look to the government for help. The final days of an administration are obviously hugely important, and it's just natural to want to get things done, said Carol Browner, former EPA administrator during all 8 years of the Clinton administration, and also a former member of Barack Obama's transition team and first climate czar. But you are not free to just do it willy-nilly. There's the law, there's the science, there's the process, she says. Well, we already know. In good news, Black Information Network, written by Sharonda Smith, Joyce Beatty elected the next Congressional Black Caucus chair. Hello, sister. Had the opportunity to sit and talk with her. She is the truth. Representative Joyce Beatty, a Democrat from Ohio, was elected the next chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, CBC, on Thursday, December 3rd. Beatty will be the caucus's 27th chair, taking over the 50-member group after Representative Karen Bass of California. As the leader of the Congressional Black Caucus, Beatty said she's highlighting 3 areas of concern that are impacting Black people in disproportionate ways: the pandemic, economic turmoil, and social injustice, which she plans to collaborate with President-elect Joe Biden and Congress, according to The Hill. So that's that. Let me just make sure. Letitia Wright defends herself after posting anti-vaccination video. Letitia Wright has responded to criticism after she shared anti-vaccination propaganda. This again was written by the Black Information Network by Peyton Blake Moore. I want to give people credit for their work. On Thursday, December 3rd, the Black Panther Star posted a YouTube video to Twitter that showed a senior leader with Light London Church making unsubstantiated claims about coronavirus vaccines. I don't understand vaccines medically, but I've always been a little bit skeptic of them, Tommy Areomi said earlier in the video before going to share his unsubstantiated claims and personal feelings on vaccines. The backlash to Letitia's sharing of the 69-minute video, which she has since deleted from her Twitter, was swift and fierce as the 27-year-old actress fans and followers called her out for being reckless and irresponsible. On Friday, December 4th, Letitia returned to Twitter to share her reasonings for posting the controversial video, writing, "My intention was not to hurt anyone. My only intention of posting the video was that it raised my concerns with what the vaccine contains and what we are putting in our bodies. Nothing else." So that was it for that. It just goes to show you, right? We can't have the best intentions. That's why we always have to be careful. Vicki Johnson set to become the WNBA's only Black female coach. Again, written by Black Information Network, Ryan Shepard. Former NBA player and 2-time All-Star Vicki Johnson is expected to be named the head coach of the Dallas Wings. If the Wings move forward with this hire, Johnson would become the only Black female head coach in the WNBA. So this is good news, right? So let's hope that this goes through. I want to thank you all for sitting with me through another episode of The Source. Coming up next is Nick Taliaferro with Evening Words. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders. I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.